So Kai, for those that don't know, it's Mother's Day right now. Well, what have you been doing? What did you do today on Mother's Day?
Well, I'd say what I did on Mother's Day today is your fault because you're the one that made me draw this. But I got to draw your forger smoking an absolute, to put Nick's words, smoking an absolute fatty while Anya points at her wearing a Dare shirt.
I was going to say right now, if your forger chuffing a fat dart is your comfort character, tune in.
I'm assuming Amu had that on screen, right? Like,
I'm tired, man. You know what I did today? I slept off a cold.
No, not a cold.
No, you slept off the flu.
I slept off an I'm gonna die. I'm insert miscellaneous thing that's trying to kill me this week.
It's every week at this point.
It's every week.
Listen, we're all have to die at some point. Lana was having back issues, then I started having back issues, and then I'm like, Nick, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks until you start going through hell.
I'm gonna be fine.
Nick, you're gonna have to send me every single thing that you're ever going to want me to voice in the next 6 years, because I'm probably just gonna die tomorrow.
Wait, how's that? What?
Yeah,
I don't even have those scripts written yet.
You're gonna need to figure it out. You're gonna need to write some script. You have 24 hours.
Like, Lana!
I will record all of my reactions to the episodes of shows that I haven't seen yet. For the next 6 years, you can pose because we have this right here, right? We have me. This is me wincing.
I was about to say, this is just Svetlana's day out. We just have Lana's dead body wearing sunglasses, and we're kind of just puppeting her around.
And whenever someone tries to get close, you just bend the thing over and go, they've got back pain. Oh my God. Gotta go.
I was gonna say we're just going to record as much audio as possible of Lana to the point where we have her as one of those 15 AI things. Yeah. You just make her say anything.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Lana Vocaloid.
Yeah, I have a bunch of recordings from when Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel came out. It's over 700 hours of recordings of me playing the game, in Discord calls with you and my other friends. If you just take all of the vocal audio from me from all of those, you might be able to pull it off.
You know what? We have our tech. But hello everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Weeb Roundup. Can I just say right now that it feels like in terms of news stuff this week, it's been kind of slow. But I know in terms of what we normally do, I've kind of just been vibing a bit this week. I'm trying to think of what it is I remember what I did. It was actually cursed. So yesterday, I had some friends come over, right? And when your friends come over, they provide party favors. They give gifts. Things in your honor, I suppose you could say. And it turned out that one of these effigies that was offered to me yesterday on this holiest of days, Saturday, my friend decided to bring a 12-pack of Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew.
Okay, I gotta know what does it taste like?
Yeah. Why?
Just a TLDR on I gotta know.
Give us the review.
What's it like?
Whatever score you want to use, numbers, letters.
So,
how is it?
In terms of Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew, the best way that I can describe it, imagine someone gave you a can of Livewire.
Okay.
And then they took out a little bit of the sugar and poured in an eighth of a container of cayenne pepper. And that's Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew. It's spicy.
I need to know, when you say they put in that much cayenne pepper, can you taste the powder?
You cannot taste the powder.
Is it just a liquid?
So when you cough, it doesn't taste. So when you cough, it doesn't taste like powder.
It does not taste like powder. No.
Okay.
However,
that drink looks like it tastes like an instant Gatorade powder box. I don't know why. So that's comforting.
So let me say one thing about this right now. Holding this up for the camera. Apologies if you're audio only. I'm holding up a can of Mountain Dew Flamin' Hot. So I open up this can, the first one I did, because at this point I think I've drank 4 of these over the course of the last 2 days. I don't usually drink this much soda, and I will not drink this much soda ever again, unless it's like diet shit. But like fucking full flavor, full of sugar sodas are fucking awful, and I hate them. But for this, I'm making an exception for the meme. But essentially, I crack this can open, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's give this a swig. And I go to drink it because I'd poured it in a glass with some ice. It's still fizzing. So as I'm drinking it, I make the foolish mistake of inhaling slightly. I proceed to rush the glass away from my mouth, and I begin coughing as loud as I fucking can. Because I will tell you right now, when you inhale this shit, the spice is there, and it will take you down if you accidentally breathe it. Which is funny, because when you drink it, the spice is kind of there. And like it doesn't actually show up until like the lingering after effects of the aftertaste, really, or until it like reaches your throat. But in general, it's like drinking it is oddly pleasant. I wish this sucked, but it doesn't suck, and that's why I'm angry.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'd probably drink it. Like, it's probably not available in Canada, but like if I could get it, I'd take it.
So if you want my tech on spicy like sweet dessert drinks, what I would say is make yourself a chocolate milkshake and put some cayenne pepper in it. That shit is actually the best.
Okay.
Or just for you, Kai, you can just buy some Orange Crush and then mix up some cayenne pepper in it.
I mean, yeah.
That would
I
be
could probably
even
do that.
better, actually, honestly, because Orange Crush is actually a good drink.
Yeah, either that, or if I really wanted some kind of spicy drink, I could probably just go to like the local Asian market, just pick something up, you know.
That is true. That is true. Or you could do something.
That reminds me, man. I'm gonna throw my scouts under the bus for a second. Back when I did like Cubs and Scouts, they did like a food testing thing that like as like a competition, and all the food they got was from an Asian supermarket. I sat there and like one of the things that were like, oh, this is, you're not gonna be able to take this. It was a cracker with wasabi on it. That was it. I think the one of the ones that made me go like, oh my god, really? That's like nothing to me. Is when they were like, oh, here's the big challenge. This is the hard one you got to do. They pull out a duck egg. And I go, that's it? Just a duck egg? All right. All it made me think of was, man, dude, Scouts is for white people.
I was about to fucking say, god damn. God, guys, this mayonnaise is too spicy for me. Oh, fucking, what was it that you told me once, Kai? One of your relatives, I think it was your aunt.
They made a salad. They made a salad and they put oranges in it to add a little spice.
Why do we live on this planet? Why do we have to take part in society? I just want to watch anime. Fuck. I hate this. I'm about to literally become
you know what? Getting into other bad decisions, you want to talk about some little bit of news that's been happening recently?
I was about to say, there's not a lot of news stuff that I really want to touch on. There is one thing that I want to touch on, though, in terms of the news, and that is Square Enix can't stop shooting themselves in the fucking foot. So those that are unaware, if you're somehow living under a social media rock at this point, because I've seen this all over Twitter, because people cannot stop dunking on Square Enix. Square Enix, professional level bag fumblers. I'm convinced.
It's really funny because like it's one of this is one of those companies that really, it's like, what did they do this time, you know? So I'll even ask you as an audience viewer, what did they do this time, Nick?
It's not even a this time thing. I feel like for the most part lately they've been on the up and up. Final Fantasy
no.
14, 7 Remake was real good. There's been a lot of good shit happening lately.
I'm talking about their standards and practices.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Their standards and practices. They're always doing something stupid, but then it's like, well, they just released and well executed like 14 games. So should we be okay with it? And like, there's an audience for yes, and there's an audience for no. But this time, it's just kind of like funny.
No, it's very funny.
I think what happened is they started to drop the ball around the time they decided. What do they do again? They sold the original Castlevania as an NFT.
No, that's Konami. That's Konami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're mixing up Konami and Square. Right.
I listen. I think to myself, like, man, what's a really popular company that also does really dumb shit?
And that was our Yu-Gi-Oh reference for the day.
Oh, my
anyway.
God. So anywho, so what ends up happening? Square Enix is like, oh, metaverse, the blockchain, NFT games. Oh, we want to cut of this pie. All of the business investors, all the bigwigs, they're saying this is the time to get in on this stuff. We want to get in on the ground floor because this market crashed lately. Because for those that don't know, the NFT market about a week or so ago crashed big time. And so Square is like, okay, now's the time to get in on it. So what they did was they sold Eidos, they sold and like Crystal Dynamics and a whole bunch of other companies, and by extension, all of the IPs that they managed. This includes Tomb Raider, Deus Ex. They sold Gex.
Oh, I know someone that's gonna be really sad about that, man. Oh, Arig, I'm so sorry. No more Gex. No more Gex.
Well, why would they be sad if they're selling it to someone? There's a chance that will actually get like things for it from the new company.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Like, don't think of it that way. Think of it. So here's the deal. What are the things that Square Enix sold?
Essentially, what they sold off was their Western branch in Eidos, which is the company that handled, again, stuff like Tomb Raider, stuff like Gex, like stuff like Sleeping Dogs, which honestly was all stuff that did pretty well for them. Like Tomb Raider was big gangbuster shit. Sleeping Dogs sold pretty well. Obviously, there hasn't been a Gex game in forever, but Deus Ex is a high value property. That's a big IP that they're just throwing out the goddamn window. And then they're like, okay, so we're selling this shit. And we're like, okay, we are going to invest all of this onto the blockchain for NFT projects. And they're like, okay, we're going in and we're going to be going in towards blockchain-centric development. And then the market crashed again, like right after.
Means they still have the money. Unless there's proof that they already made their purchases. Like, so there is a possibility that Square Enix just wasted a bunch of money. But there's also the probability that they did just sell a bunch of products. And like, one thing I wonder, how good,
like, if anything, yeah,
last Tomb Raider.
The stuff they've sold is, yeah, they haven't made a lot of games with those IPs in a while.
Tomb Raider was relatively recent.
Gex is the Tomb Raider. There was a Tomb Raider game in like 2020, wasn't there?
Oh, it was 2020. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a relatively recent Tomb Raider release. There's been like talks about doing some more Deus Ex stuff. It included Thief, and it's Crystal Dynamics. Crystal Dynamics as the studio they sold, and Crystal Dynamics has been working on shit with Square constantly in cooperation with Eidos, who was also sold. So essentially, Square Enix is saying we're getting rid of almost all of our Western presence, which is just and then they're like, okay, our Western presence is worth less than us getting into the NFT space, is essentially what Square is saying when they made this investment. And I think this is fucking hysterical. Like,
it's definitely dumb because you're cutting yourself off from an entire market.
Like, it's,
which I get what I get the logic behind it, but it's flawed logic.
Yes,
you don't cut yourself off from an industry that you already are in to enter a new one that, like, isn't even all that reputable, and considering it crashed, it's like it.
Yeah,
wasn't even
they
nothing
they
smart.
immediately ate their words for it, basically.
Mhm. I said it before and I'll say it again. Square Enix at the moment are being professional bag fumblers. Like, they had something pretty good on their hands, but the thing is with investors and bigwigs, like all of these executive types, they never look at this from the, oh, we're making enough money, right? For them, it's never, we're making enough money. It is, we're not making more money. And they're not seeing immediate returns on a lot of these studios. Because for context, Crystal Dynamics was heading up a lot of the Avengers development. And that game was a huge loss for Square Enix. Not on really the fault of Crystal Dynamics as much as it was just that was a games as a service game that was just fumbled in terms of how it was handled. And like it has an active player base and people actually do like it at points. But overall, it's games as a service games are very, very difficult to really get going off of the ground because most people that play games as a service games, like MMOs or shit like Destiny or, like Warframe and shit like that, they have their games as a service game. So it's very difficult to break into. It's similar to how back during the days of World of Warcraft, when everyone was trying to make an MMO, you couldn't break into the MMO industry because everyone was playing World of Warcraft. So it's like, why would you bother? And it's like when people wanted to all make their own MOBAs, but everyone was playing Dota and League of Legends. So why would you bother to make your own MOBA? It's literally this, where they fumbled the games as a service thing. And at this point, they were probably just like, well, our Western output is not super great at this point. Why bother keeping up with it when we can go to the blockchain? And so they sell off all of their shit, looking for really quick, short-term gains, most likely to please a bunch of investors at a meeting. And then it immediately blows up in their face, and they are definitely not getting those IPs back because they sold those IPs for like $100,000, I think. They sold them incredibly low. Like, I don't know the exact number, but I know for a fact it was like flash sale level, bottom dollar shit.
They sold them for the price they knew they would immediately get a turnover of liquid currency.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And so they wouldn't have to lean alone, basically, which I don't know why they didn't just spend the money they definitely have. Are you kidding me? I know Kingdom Hearts 4 is up for pre-order somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? They're already raking in money.
So I think now's a good time, in case we didn't say already, that we here at the Weeb Roundup are against NFTs. I think that should be very obvious at this point.
Fuck crypto!
Just in case.
Fuck crypto! We don't need it. Get it out of here. It's a waste of space. It's a waste of time. Burn down a tree. At least you're being direct about it. God damn. It's like if you hate the environment that much and you want some money, at least cut down the tree. You can print some actual money using that. God damn.
Got a point.
We don't need this fucking...
Good point.
We don't need this fancy ape bullshit. I don't need this yacht club garbage. The only yacht club y'all got going is a dinghy in your backyard. Like, come on.
I wish I could make this into a segue, but the only yacht I want to deal with is Yacht Club Games, man.
Yacht Club Games is lit. But at this point, now that we can move past Square Enix...
Why don't we talk about an anime?
Yeah, I was about to say, we can talk about some anime here while Square Enix is busy shooting themselves in the foot. I will let you take it away, Lana.
So there's a new anime that is not new. It's actually just been going on for your entire actual lives, and you like forgot about it, called Pokemon. It's
What's Pokemon?
It's about this spry young boy. His name's Ash Ketchum. He just turned 10. And he
turned 10 in 1996 or whatever it was.
He's 11-year-old Ash Ketchum is going to be going up against a group of people because of his recent victory against Raihan, become a member of what is called the Master 8, where he will be taking them on. I believe there's going to be a Master Tournament, which nobody's really explained to me yet, where he's going up against a lot of trainers that people know from Pokemon history. If I was to say the order that Ash is supposed to battle these trainers, this is the order that I would put them in. First he would go up against Iris, the Unovan champion. Then he would go up against Elaine as a matchup for the Kalos League Finals, who's let's do this. Iris, where her ace Pokemon is Haxorus. Elaine, whose ace Pokemon is, and this is annoying because there's 2 of these in the Master 8, Charizard, but it's Mega Charizard X. And then they would go up against the Kalos champion Diantha, who uses Mega Gardevoir. Then Steven Stone, who is using Mega Metagross, shiny Mega Metagross, by the way.
Oh, yo.
Let's not get it twisted.
Let's not mince words. This dude walks out into the stadium. He gets goddamn WWE theme music that starts playing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you know I'm nice."
Listen, I'm a Gen 2, Gen 3 kid. Steven Stone? I fucking love that guy. Steven Stone.
The original Hoenn champion who retired because he was too cool.
He was so good at the game. He pulled a Michael Jordan and started playing baseball.
Yeah, he started digging rocks.
he looked over at the 8th gym leader. He says, "Yo, you're not doing anything. You want to be champion? Yeah, I'm gonna leave. See ya."
And then the 8th gym leader went to the other retired gym leader, Juan, and was like, "Hey, you're not doing anything. Do you want to be gym leader?" and the guy went, "Yes, I love gyms."
Okay, quick question here, actually, because I've always been curious about this.
Yes.
Is gym leader in Pokemon, like, is that meant to be like something voluntary that you do on the side, similarly like running like a support group?
It's your part-time job. It's a part-time job.
Okay, so it's a part-time job.
It's a part-time job. You have to take a qualification exam.
Okay.
I don't know how Brock passed that exam. I don't know how Misty passed that exam, because technically she's not even the gym leader of the gym, but she's able to give out badges. It's so weird. Anyway, then they go up against Lance, the Dragon Master. Even classic Pokemon fans remember the original Kanto champion.
3 Dragonites!
Who they didn't want to in the anime, they don't like exemplifying the fact he has 3 Dragonites, and instead exemplify his red Gyarados that he caught during the show.
Lame.
And also, we did just see him lose to Leon recently, so. And then number 2 would be the second to last would be Cynthia with her Garchomp. We don't know if she has a Mega Evolution. We've never seen it. And then lastly we have Gigantamax Charizard, piloted by the undefeated Ultimate Super Ultra Turbo Sword and Shield Mega Champion Deluxe with Knuckles, Leon.
So I'm gonna say right now, every time I see Leon, I get so happy.
Like Melty,
I like Leon a lot because he exudes the energy of my mom let me dress myself today.
Yeah, she did. I won the fucking Pokemon League. I've never lost a battle. What's she gonna do? Battle me?
Yeah. But like, I'm gonna be real. Leon is anti-drip. Leon is anti-drip.
He is. He's ugly.
He's so ugly.
Okay, but he loves how ugly he is. It depends, his sponsors love how ugly he is.
Lana, you've seen oh god, what's the series? Is Pokemon Evolution? Was the OVA series?
I've seen it all. Seen it all.
But like, can we admit that like there's that one short where he actually looks attractive?
Yeah. No, straight up, I'll give you that.
He's a pretty man. He just dresses like shit.
Yeah.
He's a man. He's a grown ass man. He's wearing tights under his shorts.
He's got that
with the little
cape
shirt
with a bunch of sponsors and shit on it. Like, oh,
put the sponsors on the inside, bro. pull them out, flow them out, do something with it. You're like reverse Brock Lesnar. But at least he's not Lance, who's like got negative drip. Like, who cuts his hair?
So with Lance, okay, here's the thing about Lance. He looks like a fighting game character, and I mean I mean that in a derogatory way. He looks like a fighting game character, derogatory.
They gave Steven a bit of a facelift with the art style change and his adaptation in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So like he now looks like the rest of the cast. So Lance is the only one in this group who doesn't look like, here, I'll give you guys a picture of the Master 8. I will send it to Amu. Here is a picture of the Master 8 who looks out of place. I think Ash Ketchum looks like he's in place. The rest of them do look in place. Who in this picture looks like they should not be in this picture?
I'll say it before and I'll say it again. He straight up looks like he should be a fucking puppet character. He and Relius Clover would be best friends.
Oh my god.
He does look like... You're right. You're right. Relius does just look like a better looking Lance the Dragon Master.
No, that's the edit you gotta make now. You just gotta take Lance there, slap on Relius Clover. There he is. There's your new Dragon Masters, Relius Clover.
Now the Dragon Ball MMA math that they use in Pokemon, like for what I've seen in like the animated Pokemon community and like from the anime itself, is like Leon's the best trainer, Cynthia's the second best trainer, Lance is the third best trainer. Cynthia is surrounded by two dripless weirdos. Dude, like, and I wouldn't say that her outfit is like, I know people who think Cynthia's outfit is pretty generic, but also she's also worn that for almost 20 years.
Look, so, I think Cynthia's outfit is incredibly drippy.
It's a good
that shit
outfit.
Looks super good. I could go out dressed like that if I wanted to.
No, you can't, because I can't find those fucking ear pins.
You gotta make them.
I don't want to.
She makes those herself, dude. She has.
I refuse.
Go and buy those. That's not Gucci. That's not.
I'm Rohan. I refuse.
Oh god.
Anyway, I'm very excited to see if they do a tournament where they would pair a bunch of them against each other, and then Leon meets Ash in the finals. Because if they do that, I get the fight I want, which is Leon versus Cynthia. Because I don't want the show to tell me that Cynthia's the second strongest trainer in the Pokemon canon. I need the show to show me that Cynthia can lose to this loser. Someone needs to prove it. I need proof. If I don't get that proof, I'm going to lose it. That's all I got to say.
I need to say one more thing.
Sure.
So you said looking at the trainers. I'm looking at the Pokemon now on this graphic, and I can already tell you the one that's hell out of place.
Haxorus, yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
Okay, so I have a defense for this. Only one of these Pokemon is on screen defeated a legendary. And 5 of them.
Fuck. God damn it, Pikachu.
Pikachu beat Tapu Koko in a fair fight.
That Pikachu's gotta be like...
This Pikachu is roided, man.
It's massive, yeah.
Well, okay, so but Ash's ace Pokemon has a Z move and a Gigantamax. That's kind of that kind of explains it.
That's pretty broken. Yeah.
That's kind of explains it. 1 million volts or whatever it is. Pikachu's Z move, where they do the father-son Kamehameha. Yeah. You're telling me that's not enough? Or how they Gigantamax into fat Pikachu?
You win.
Give him a chance.
You win this round.
Give Pika to Giga.
Let me. I believe I've talked about this with everyone before. I'm doing it. We're talking about Ash Ketchum's fucking team.
Okay.
Oh boy. All right.
Ash Ketchum's team. Okay, so for the record, before Ash Ketchum fought against Raihan, there was a whole episode dedicated to Ash's Greninja coming back to teach Ash's new Mega stuff. So Ash's team is currently a Gigantamax Pikachu with a Z move, a Dragonite, which means we're going to get a Dragonite mirror at some point.
Wait, when the fuck did Ash get a Dragonite?
In Pokemon Journeys, bro. Watch the fucking anime. It's on Netflix. it's on Netflix.
It is.
Gigantamax Gengar. He had an egg that he made into Mega Lucario. He has a Sirfetch'd and a Dracovish.
Wow, he's really stocked up.
That is a stacked team. Stacked.
Wait, hang on. Which ones? I need to look that up. Oh my fucking god. This is a meta team.
This is a real team.
This is a real team.
He's got. I wouldn't say it's a meta team, but it's a real team. He has 2 dragon types. That's a little rough. He has a pure electric type with a big hitting move. He's got a flying dragon type. He's got a poison ghost type. He's got a fighting flying, I believe Sirfetch'd is. God, man, I'm so bad.
I do not remember.
I am so incredibly
Oh,
bad.
Sirfetch'd is just pure fighting. Sirfetch'd is
it's fighting type. It's fighting type. Okay. So and then he's got Mega Lucario, which is Psychic Steel, and then he's got Dracovish, which is, I believe, Water Dragon. It is indeed, Water Dragon.
Yes.
Well, how would you, aside from the fact that he's got 3 dragons, how would you rate his team?
I give it like a 7.
7.5.
But there's so many pure trainers that he's going against. It's like a 7.58.
Yeah, he has a shot. I hate to say it, he has a shtick.
If he had a fairy type, he would just destroy Iris. So it's understandable they didn't give him a fairy type. Also, it's not Ash's shtick, because he's supposed to be like boy MC. But like, he's got a pretty fair team, and he's very emotionally responsive with all of his Pokemon. So
I think it's also just the fact that, at least from what I remember, Ash never really liked using specific type matchup as a means to like win matches.
No, he doesn't.
No, he totally does, though.
He doesn't like to, but he does do it.
Yeah.
He's not an idiot. He's just, sometimes you got to take a risk.
He has straight up like used low-level shitty Pokemon because the matchup was good. Don't you remember how Krabby evolved into Kingler?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I've never used this Krabby once, but you know what? I need another water Pokemon. Squirtle ain't cutting it. I'm drafting you, Krabby. And then the moment he throws him in, Krabby gets bodied and then evolves into Kingler and then just starts stomping people. That's how you know it was true love.
But Ash, also Ash is teamed up with a very good teammate, because Go is also becoming a good Pokemon trainer at the same rate Ash is. So it gives his Pokemon a competitive atmosphere to grow in, instead of just having like their like pep people. They're like pep squad.
Go's
like,
the guy with the score bunny, right?
Yeah, it's a Cinderace now.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's a grown Pokemon. We're at the end of this show. Like these people have like lives now, or like well-rounded characters.
Isn't Go non-binary?
Wow.
I'm pretty sure they are they them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the case, but I do not remember.
I never thought.
I remember
that
being a huge deal. Hearing about it,
Go is and they also, like, for those people who are like huge Sword and Shield haters, they have absolved Ash of any guilt by giving all 3 of the Sword and Shield starters to Go. He now has a Cinderace and Inteleon, and then he still has Grookey. It hasn't evolved yet.
Sounds to me like all of the people that hate Sword and Shield, cowards.
And they're also missing out on what I think is the best part about Sword and Shield, which is this really, really good anime. It's really good. Every episode of it, I don't watch it week by week, but every episode I've seen is phenomenal. And I'm like almost caught up. So check out the Pokemon anime. We won't talk about it all the time, but we will talk about when Ash beats the people I want him to beat. Please.
When Ash wins the league, because how many times has Ash won the league?
One.
That's
the one that didn't exist.
Yeah. So
he won the Alola League. He's the inaugural Alolan champion.
Oh, okay. So he has won 2 leagues then.
He has won the Orange League and he has won the Alola League. Yes.
Okay.
He has won 1. let's leave it. He won 1. He caught an Ultra Beast, and he got the Pokemon Go promotional Pokemon. And he won the league. And his Pikachu beat the Tapu Koko. And his Lycanroc beat the other Lycanroc. They did everything right.
What a champion.
His Rowlet beat the
I guess
Decidueye,
whenever he wins the next
Torracat
league
beat
is
the
when we'll be
Incineroar.
talking about it, yeah?
Whenever he wins this and becomes a Pokemon master, then we can talk about Pokemon. Like, besides this.
Oh, no, that's when you're going to be like, okay, guys, for book club, we're going to watch all of Pokemon. I'm putting Naruto on the back burner. We're going to watch all of Pokemon.
Forever.
Oh my God.
Forever.
We are going to watch Pokemon for the rest of our lives. It is now a full-time job.
Why
Listen,
don't we all
man,
mutually
you know how
agree?
much fun I'm gonna have when we get the Johto? I'm gonna have so much fun. Oh,
You know, it would
Love
be
Johto.
we could speed it up by all finding out the last episode of Pokemon that they can remember, and then just continuing from the earliest one of those.
Oh no.
So for me, it would be when Paul released the Chimchar. And
yeah.
that which is like only a quarter of the way through the anime. Like,
Yeah, I don't even think I made it that. I don't think I actually watched any of Gen 4 Pokemon anime. I think I stopped.
So we would be in Gen 3.
Yeah, it would be
Okay.
Gen 3.
Yeah, Nick.
I would say the league fights in Gen 3.
So Gen 3, we would be in Gen 3.
So we could start Gen
So
3.
So we would be when the voice actors changed.
Yeah.
Ah, fascinating
Yeah,
time.
but that means we get some Steven Stone.
a little, just a little
bit.
He's really not in his own gen very often.
Yeah, he's not.
Well, yeah, he's the tuxedo mask of Pokemon. My duty here is done. But you didn't do anything. And then he just runs away flying on a Metagross into the sunset.
That's true. Now, that's all of our news for the day. We went on Pokemon for a while. I was very happy to do that. I've been talking about it a lot.
I was going to say, Lana.
I'm rooting for Ash Ketchum. I'm big on Ash Ketchum. I would if they make Ash fight against them one at a time, you're gonna have to strap me down to make me watch him versus Cynthia, and you're gonna have to prove to me that every single one of those things made sense. There's gonna be a process that I'm gonna have to go through. I'm going to go through every stage of grief at least twice.
I would say 4 times, honestly.
For every generation that I want to forget, which is Gen 4, because apparently it's too hard.
But Lana,
Play Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Oh god.
Anyway, what's up?
What I was going to say is, this seems like a game that Ash could win.
Oh yeah, it's
However,
reasonable. It's reasonable. It's
There's
not
one
unreasonable.
game that none of us can win. And that's the
except for-
Tomodachi game.
Except for Tenji, who's the traitor.
Yeah.
he's still the traitor. Everybody.
He's not going to win because now he's not going to move on to the next game, is he?
No,
We
but
don't know.
he's going to get out of there and not have to pay debt. So, but before we jump the gun, let's talk about what happened on the latest episode of Tomodachi Shore.
I'll give it to you right now. So Yuichi just fucking owned Tenji.
Yuichi owned him so fucking hard.
He really said, you are like a baby. Watch me. You are the traitor. and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, it was like, so the episode starts and Tenji's like going on his huge power trip and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make sure that Shiho, everything about her will be revealed for the world to see. And then finally, when she's at her lowest low, I will make her pass on to the next game and take all of our debt. It's a brilliant plan, and no one will know that I instigated them into the Tomodachi game. And so Yuichi comes up and he's like, hey, yo, so we know, because the last thing that happened in the previous episode was someone was like, oh, hey, guys, Shibe killed somebody. And that was written on one of the cards. And then Shibe's like, no, I didn't fucking kill anybody. And then no one owns up to writing the card. And so it turns into Shibe begging to the audience to be like, please don't say that I did it. Because then he would have to move a shit ton of spaces on the game board that they're on. But of course, the people watching the stream, they're just like, yeah, he did it. And he just zooms up into first place. And Yuichi walks up to him because it's obvious Yuichi wrote it. But that reveals to him a rule set that statements can be proven true or false. And if they are proven false, you are penalized. And so what ends up happening is Yuichi sits down next to Shibe and he's like, Shibe, I don't think you killed anybody. It's fine. I think that we're all in a good spot. But because that rule was just brought to my attention, I just realized we can reveal the traitor. And so Yuichi's plan is everyone is
I think
going...
you're actually getting ahead of yourself.
Am I?
There's one more thing Yuichi does before that.
What is that?
He instigates a plan that backfires on him, where he's like, well, okay, Shibei is in first now. He's gonna move the most spaces no matter what. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it so we all move and put Shibei in last.
That's right. He has 3 fucking plans.
He has 3 goddamn plans. One of them backfires. The other ones are fine.
Yeah,
but
so the first plan that he has is we're going to talk shit about each other and then go from there. And it's all good. And it turns out that Tenji's like, no, I'm not doing that.
He's like, well, you've forgotten one thing, Yuichi. We don't have to just write 1 card.
Yeah, so he writes 10 of them. Which is...
Wow. Wow, was that rule really there for this moment?
Yes. Literally there for this moment. For Yuichi to get fucking owned. Madobe looks at me and says, wow, Yuichi, that was a shit plan.
And at that point...
I agree.
And at that point, he's like, okay, then. You're talking a lot of shit, Yuichi. And Tenji is just like, if you know who the traitor is, then just say it. And then Yuichi's like, I'm sorry, I was bluffing. I actually didn't know anything.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And Yuichi's whipped. Yuichi's hella whipped.
And then, literally, what is it? Next round rolls along. And that's when Yuichi's all like, wait a minute. I know how
not gonna lie.
Traitor. I have a plan again.
Well, not gonna lie, Yuichi definitely like even if he was bluffing, at least he was humble enough to admit it.
Yeah, exactly. He's a humble kid. I like him. I like the cut of his jib. But then he does something where he's talking with everyone and he's pleading with them, being like, please, we got to work together. We can't let this happen. And it just gets worse and worse. Shiho is about to fall and everything's going to be done. She's going to end up having to go to the next game alone with all of the debt. Tenji is going to get away with everything, and then everyone else is going to end up getting away. But, Yuichi doesn't want that. Yuichi wants all of his friends to be happy and safe. He loves his friends. So, he comes up with an idea. It's like, okay, guys, I know of a way that we can smoke out this traitor. And then Tenji just looks up at him. He's like, oh, on God? How you going to do it, stupid? I don't believe your dumbass. And so, Yuichi is just like, well, they penalize people that are lying, right? So all we have to write down is our name applied to be in the Tomodachi game. Because they've already know at this point that in order to be in the Tomodachi game, someone has to apply you in a group of your friends. So Yuichi's like, okay, we're all going to write it. And all of the people lying, and they know who's going to be lying because the managers that work the game know who applied. So all of the liars get penalized and get moved to the front of the pack. And then we're all going to go to the next game together. And only the traitor will be left. But at this point, we'll know who that motherfucker is. So we know to just excommunicate them for the rest of our lives. And Tenji at this point is freaking out because he's like, oh God, oh fuck, they're going to find me out. This is shit. I don't want this. No. And the look on his face is priceless. He's just like, oh fuck. So everyone loves Tenji. He's a good guy. Yuichi's like, come on, man. I know that you trust Shiho. Shiho trusts you. It's a show of good faith. You should be the first person to go in and write a card. And then Tenji's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. He gets in there, immediate nervous breakdown. Fuck, what do I do? And so he's panicking. He's panicking super hard. And then he decides, you know what? I'm going to just play along with it. And then immediately afterwards, I am going to look up to them and I'm going to start crying my eyes out, begging them to forgive me, to just see it in their hearts, to let them know that I didn't mean it, that I was blackmailed, that all the shit in the world. He's going to cry the most crocodile tears imaginable. And then he goes out, But then right as he's coming in, you see Shibei walking in through the door. And then Shibei is like, hello, Tenji. I am going to walk in the door. Salutations, friend. And he walks in the door and Tenji's like, what the fuck was that? He's legitimately freaked out. Shibei is acting real weird.
Like, yo, this kind of sus, Shibei. What the
This
fuck?
is kind of sus, but Tenji's just like, fuck it. He's a weird guy. He apparently killed somebody. He's not on the level. I don't gotta listen to this guy.
So, small thing before you keep going with the plot. Something I wanted to bring up that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Is that they with this whole strategy Yuichi's got of like, you know, like, oh, we're just gonna write our names and then like, you know, I sign up for the Tomodachi game. They Yuichi wrote everybody's name on a blank card before they got in the booth.
Yes.
That was something that never really like occurred to me, that it's like that you can pre-write your cards and then like, you know, you can at that point choose whether you want to or not to drop them into the box. So that's an interesting way of like, you know, if this kind of thing dragged on, is what if somebody was to be like, I am going to write everybody's cards. These are your cards. You're going to take this one, this one, this one, and you're going to put that in. And that's exactly kind of what he did. Is that was the plan essentially.
Mm-hmm. And then from there, everyone's gone in. They have wrote their cards, and then, mascot man, Manabu. I think it's Manabu. I believe it is Manabu.
Yeah.
You think I'd remember his name by now, but this is just the
Honestly,
kind of show
man.
this is.
I mean, everyone knows I don't like this show.
I know.
I don't care enough to memorize that man's name.
I'm
like
pretty
Manabu.
sure it's Manabu.
I do
As
like
somebody,
Manabu.
as somebody who doesn't like Tomodachi game, when we went into the second game, I went from hating Manabu to thinking Manabu was quite funny.
I actually like Manabu quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah, with the costume change and that little bit.
I think well, he had a good gag. He's very consistently antagonizing these people, even though there definitely is a traitor. We didn't need another bad person fucking playing us. But he also loves when the people who he knows are good guys think of something brilliant. So he truly is neutral. Like he just loves the chaos of it. He's not trying to help evil in any way.
He's just a
I will
joke.
say I wouldn't be surprised if in the third game, because he went from being like a child to now like a kind of like a teacher, middle-aged man sort of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the next time he shows up as an old man.
That makes sense.
If he's just aging throughout the games.
See, I don't even think that. I think in the next game he's going to be a woman. That's what I'm thinking.
I haven't read the manga, so
I haven't read it either at this point, but I'm assuming. But so everyone goes in, they write down their cards. Tenji walks out, and Manabu's like, "Okay, everyone, we have one card, and it reads, I, Tenji, signed us up for the Tomodachi game." And at this point, you can audibly hear Tenji shitting his pants. You can hear it running down his leg. And he's freaking the fuck out, drops to his knees, and he just says to himself, fuck, I have to start crying right now. And so he starts crying, and he looks up, and he's like, Yuichi, I'm begging you, please, I have my reasons. And then Yuichi's like, oh, that's cool. You can explain your reasoning all you want. And he just grabs him by the head and pulls him up by his hair.
Oh my god, when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna beat the shit out of this guy. He just wanted to hear him say it. He just wanted to hear him say it, you know?
Yo,
and goddamn, he got it. He got what he wanted.
And it's really funny. And this is what pisses me off the most. You cut to the computer room, and you have the three ladies in there being like, "Oh man, this Yuichi kid, we've brought a demon into this game." And then they're like, "Here's how he did it." And then it cuts to the ending, and I'm like, "Come on! What is this pacing?" Ugh. God, it's so, like, here's the thing.
If this show doesn't infuriate you in one way, we'll find another.
It will.
And
It will.
That's absolutely the case.
All I have to know is I'm ahead of this episode, Nick.
Yeah.
You're gonna love the next episode.
Okay, because here's the thing. I'm going to give this. Sorry.
The next episode of this show, it's gonna be pretty tight.
So
It's gonna be tight.
So here's the thing. I want to give the show actual props for this episode for the most part, because there's one show that this reminds me of a lot. And it, other than like, like some kaiji shit, this episode in particular reminded me a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like season 0, back before it was all focused on the card game shit.
Mhm.
And like, it was a simple game with a simple premise. And from that point, it's like, okay, well, this is pretty simple. There are ways that you can exploit it that are obvious that you can exploit it. And Yuichi is the type of person at this point. He's kind of like Yugi in that he takes a look at the rules and he finds the best way to really get to exploit them in his favor to get the outcome that he wants, in similar fashion to the one that I like to describe this as in a very early episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anzu / Taya, whether or not you're in the land of hamburgers or not, is trapped on a Ferris wheel with a mad bomber that is detonating bombs at seemingly random whenever Yugi releases a balloon. Yugi then runs around the park and figures out that the color of the balloon corresponds to a clock that is present in the amusement park that they're in. And so he finds the right answer to get Anzu out of like the Ferris wheel, and he does his bullshit Yu-Gi-Oh! Mind powers to mind crush the guy that's in the that's doing the bombing and shit, and it's happily ever after. But this has like a lot of similar vibes to that, of just Yuichi is this really fucking smart gamer guy. He's a gaming god. He is a gamer. And like he has the shit-eating expression of a gamer. And in general, it's like it wasn't like super smart in terms of the way that he did it, but it is very smart in terms of like the context of which the game operates. He's willing to actually play the game where no one else is actually trying to play the game, if that makes sense. The closest you have is Tenji, but he's the kind of guy that's like, oh, I'm really good at Smash, and he's just kind of hitting buttons harder than everybody else. But Tenji is the guy that knows how to wave dash, you know? Not Tenji. Yuichi is the one that knows how to wave dash. Like, Yuichi can wave dash. Yuichi can do all of the good shit. And he has Tenji wrapped around his fucking finger. So at this point, because of the way the rules work, because of the fact that Tenji has been caught in his lie, there's a very, very, very high chance that he's just going to skyrocket and plummet himself off of that fucking cliff. Because I believe in the game, I think he was in 4th place, but he's going to have to advance like 20 spaces. So there's a very high chance he loses here. And I'm really hoping he does just kind of plummet. Because the way the game board works is once you reach the end, you just plummet off into an abyss.
Yeah, and they already said like, oh, you're not going to die. Like you'll hit the bottom and like, you know,
it'll just be spooky.
Like, you'll live. Yeah. Though we did mention this earlier, like off recording, but can we just talk about how like, man, Yuichi guessing that it was Tenji, like that is the easiest guess.
Is the easiest guess.
It really
in the
is.
world.
It's because it's like, oh well, it was neither of the girls. I know it wasn't them. Shibe is a coward. It's Tenji.
Shibei's not even the fact that he's a coward. Shibei's dumb.
Well, yeah.
Kokorogi's kind of dumb too. Shiho is honest to a fault, from what we know of. And fucking Yuichi obviously knows it's not him. Unless it somehow is Yuichi somehow, and I shit my pants, because that would be
Or like Yuichi's got like a second mind, and like this mind's the mind that put them in the game. So and he's like, wait a minute, I'm fighting myself. Oh, and he's. I think that's the only way they could do that, and it would be like, all right, I see what you're doing, but also that is a cop out. God, that is a cop out.
It's Yuichi and Yuichi Nanaya.
Don't do this to me. Don't make it about fate. Don't make it about fucking Tsukihime. I swear to God, Nick. Man's got me on this brain rot already. I'm trying to play Melty Blood type Lumina. I'm shit at that game. Fucking man, if you activate shield on hit, if I hit BC and I fly off in that direction, like fuck you, I'm out of here. Like no, I'm leaving. Hit the bricks. Step out.
But I want to say in terms of a review real quick to kind of break the kayfabe for a sec of our favorite episode of Jersey Shore. I think looking at this from an animation standpoint, there was not a lot of actual animation, obviously, but you know, it's a talkie show. I don't really mind that too much personally, but there's definitely their whole shtick of if they can get away without animating something, they will definitely get away without animating it.
Upon some digging we did about like the production and everything.
Start playing the L theme in the background of Kyle.
Oh yeah. All right. So here's the thing. I went through an entire villain arc off recording where Nick had to talk me down.
Yo, Kai was being like, okay, the storyboard artists of this show, I want their heads on pikes by sundown.
I was expecting a slur.
I was expecting several slurs.
No. But I will say, just as to say what happened. Essentially, I was looking at the show through the lens of somebody who is a consumer and also somebody who is a perfectionist. So any kind of faults that I saw in the show, I was viewing as like, oh, if I had done this, if it was in my shoes, I would have done this differently. And because you did it this way, you did it incorrectly. And that's why like the show kind of offended me to that point. But what I didn't do was what I did afterwards. I viewed it as like, okay, I looked at all these people that worked on the show and their experience and everything. Yeah, they haven't worked on a lot of shows. This studio has only worked on 5 shows, including Tomodachi Game. Mm-hmm. So they're a very new studio, relatively, even though they've been working in the industry since 2019, I think it was. Or whenever the Neptunia OVAs came out. That was the first thing they worked on. I think that might have been 2017.
2019, I'm pretty sure.
Was it 2019? Okay.
I think it was 2019.
So they've been around for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. The art director for the show has been around for about 5. The director for this show has been around for a long time, and he's worked on some really good stuff.
Yeah.
The thing I had to do to understand why this show is the way it is I put myself into the mind of that director, not the art director, the actual show director. And I thought to myself, if I was in his shoes and I was making a show, and this is how it turned out, what happened on that production for it to turn out that way? And what I believe happened was this show is nothing to do with budget. I think that this show is incredibly rushed in production. Mm-hmm. I think that they're making this show on as fast as they possibly can with minimal revisions, and they're just pumping it out. They're just pumping the show out as fast as they can. There probably wasn't a lot of like prep time before air dates, so anything they're animating, they're doing it pretty much week to week. I think that's what they're doing. And because of that, that's why you're getting some boarded shots that are just traces of manga panels. You're getting shots that are just, like a character, like it's just a still. They're not even animated, or like even if it is, like they'll do like a little bit of like a pan, like to the side or something. But like it's very minimal. It's almost to the point where this feels like a motion comic. Mm-hmm. If it was a motion comic, I think I would have had more fun. But that's just me. Overall, what I was saying is I think the reason why this show is so lackluster when it comes to the visuals and the production of the anime is just due to the crunch. And I feel bad for anybody who, is going through this and has to work that hard to meet these deadlines. And knowing that, like, they're going to have their names on this is going to be on their resume, and then they're going to point to this. And if it ends up being a show that, regardless of the production, people see as a bad show or a good show, regardless of whether way it goes, they're going to have it on the resume, and it's going to be either a blemish or it's going to be like, okay, well, you worked on that. That's something. You had experience. Mm-hmm. But I will say that I have a little bit of a newfound appreciation for, some of the things I'm seeing in this show. Mostly finding now that, like, I'm pretty sure if we read the manga for this show, instead of watching the anime, I think I would actually enjoy Tomodachi Game a lot more. I wouldn't dislike. I wouldn't. Okay, I would still kind of not like it as much, but I wouldn't say that I would love it just if it was the manga.
So I'll say this right now. There are elements of this from the manga that I've read they nail very well. A lot of the time, whenever a character has to give an expression, it's very dark, it's very ugly, it's very surreal. And they nail that almost every single time. Like the art director, I've seen the stuff he's worked on. It's not super good in terms of what his resume is. But at the very least, the people in charge of character design, the people in charge of the art direction, the director himself, they know the points where they need to put in the most effort to really sell it. And a lot of the time that is in the character acting of the faces, which is quite good most of the time. Even if there's not a lot of ancillary, like secondary animation going on with them a lot of the time, the faces still give off a sense of emotion, a sense of dread.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're prioritizing close-up shots because they know that's where they need to be detailed. Because if you have a close-up shot, but like you're not putting a lot of like a lot of lines down to like show the audience that it's like you are zoomed in on the face, you can see every little follicle in their face, every little pore on their perfect anime face. Like if you don't have like something to imply that, then it's just not going to work. So they kind of have to. They're kind of pigeonholed into doing that. But with that limitation, they're doing a lot with it.
Yeah, and then also the other thing I wanted to say is I think that their command of color theory in the show is actually very similar to what you saw in early JoJo, with what David Production would usually do, where things started to get surreal. They would go with these very psychedelic, high saturation color palettes. The show is doing something very similar, which makes sense because the director on this show has worked on JoJo's in the past. He was, I believe, a storyboard artist for JoJo's Part 3. So he knows kind of what happens over at David Production, and you can see part of that style spilling into Tomodachi game, and it's actually kind of nice when they get to work with it on that. But I feel like overall this show is just the one thing that it's missing the most, and I was talking about this I think earlier at one point, is that this show needs less show. Literally, you can cut a huge fraction of the time spent in this show and just get it on. Like, the pacing is so fucking bad. I have literally written down in my notes here, whenever I'm taking notes on the shows while I'm watching them, in all caps, why are we still in this second game? It is so frustrating.
So, Nick, I'm curious because I had a little offshoot talk with John about Kaiji, because I was talking about my dislike of Tomodachi game, and we were talking about Kaiji. And I brought up the point of like, this second game is lasting a long time. This is a long game. And then John says to me, oh, you probably wouldn't like Kaiji then, because Kaiji's games are very long. So as you as a person who I know you really like Kaiji, I would like your statement on that.
All right, so here's the thing about Kaiji that separates it from Tomodachi game. Tomodachi game, I feel like you're kind of surrounded in the mystery of it. You're more invested in what the fuck is going on a lot of the time, and you can't really get close to a lot of the characters in terms of like how they're suffering and what their stories are a lot of the time. It's being drip fed to you by design. And the pacing doesn't help with that. However, in Kaiji, almost everything is taking place, rather than having it being split 5 ways, almost everything is solely on the shoulders of our titular Kaiji, who is the guy that is down on his luck, trying to make his life work as things only get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And you're seeing everything through his lens. And these are single games that he's going through, but these games also have multiple rounds. So he's quickly going from facet to facet to facet of each game. He's also meeting people along the way where he is quickly going through what their story is. Why is it they're doing the thing that they're doing? Why were they trapped in this along with him? And there's real character building, real character drama that is being built on top of these games. And like, some of them do take a while, but you are staying connected to Kaiji, his internal monologue, and the way he is struggling with it the entire time. You're not watching Kaiji because you're watching a guy go through a death game. You are watching Kaiji because you are watching a man struggle. And that's why you watch Kaiji, because it is the telltale tale of man versus society.
So the argument more being that the show is more there's more focus on like the one titular character instead of trying to establish 5 main characters.
Exactly.
And because of that, there's like the time spent on these games is more effectively used.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. They could speed up the games and it would flow so much better. I could literally make a muffler cut of Tomodachi game where you cut a lot of the fat, a lot of the excess, and I think it would flow way smoother. These like 5 episodes you could cut into about 3. The first game, which I believe spanned over 1 and like 1/3 of an episode, you could make that like essentially just like 1 episode and then go to the next thing. Like I feel like the pacing.
I was gonna say
I
I need the Lana cut where like she just goes it's like, okay, game start, Tenji's the traitor. Okay, next game.
I really think that if you guys give me the handlebars on this one, just put me in the wheelhouse, I can give you the best I can give you the best anime ever made.
I would absolutely be down for that. I need
when Tomodachi game is over, when it's over, you will see. You'll all see. I will create the greatest not abridged series of all time. It's gonna be hype.
And from here, I would like to announce Tomodachi game, the Lana cut, coming to you in theaters mid 2022.
Oh man, really? You want to do mid?
Well, yeah, because the show's mid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
That means I gotta get it out on July 2nd. It's the very middle day of the year.
Yeah.
July 2nd. Okay. What do I do? How do I do that?
Oh no.
Liz, you're just gonna have to script your thing alongside our thing. And we'll do both at the same time.
Oh no.
Let me see the episode runs on Tomodachi game.
I will not say what our thing is. You will know in several months, maybe a year or so. I don't know when.
It'll be about 2 months, I think. But we're not gonna.
Okay.
We won't go too in depth into that. But we were talking about Lana getting the handlebars on this project.
And now we can move on to putting the handlebars on a new rap.
I was about to say, instead of these handlebars, can you handle these fucking bars?
Oh
yeah,
my dude. Oh! My boy, Lord Kabe Taijin. That's a man right there. He went in this episode. There, Jesus, man. Oh, I know. I'm just kind of taking in. That was a good episode of Kongming. That was a really good episode of Kongming.
So I want to say right now, in terms of Kongming, Kabe Taijin, Kabe-kun, might be one of the most relatable anime characters I have ever seen. He's so
pretty great.
Fucking relatable, dude.
He's great.
Like, as a creative, it's really easy to fall into a situation where you are working towards your creation so hard that you begin to implode, you crash and burn, and it's just complete burnout to the point where you are even physically harming yourself because of how hard you are working. And we learn Kabe's entire story in this episode, where he's a guy that's liked music his entire life. He listened to like a lot of like pop songs, and he was just always listening to music. There's a very funny scene where he's listening to a pop song while sitting down, and a couple of girls come up to him and they're like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" And you see his thoughts being portrayed as Nico comments. And if you're too much of a zoomer to know what Nico is essentially a video streaming website where your comments are like YouTube, but they're streamed across the screen. They're streamed across the screen as they are made. So a Nico video has like a shit ton of text going all over. And so that's what's happening in his head is he's like, wait, these girls are talking to me. Oh God, they're really cute.
So they want to know what I'm listening to? What do I say? Like the band, the artist, the song?
And then the girls just fuck off.
They just leave. They're just like, oh man, he just doesn't want to talk. All right, well that's a shame. He's pretty cute. And they just leave, and he's like, okay.
And like after this happens, he sees this overweight kid that's in his class getting bullied, and he's like, oh man, this sucks. But it puts the kid on his radar so that he's like looking out for him and like taking picture proof to like show teachers. Not that that's gonna do anything, but you know, whatever. Anywho, he starts walking around town, sees the same overweight kid getting confronted by a bunch of like street thugs, and he's like, oh God, I gotta help this kid. He goes over to them though, and he sees the kid laughing. And then he starts making friends with this kid, and he starts learning, oh, they're a part of the underground rap scene. And so overweight kid gives a few like CDs of like the kind of music he's into, which is like, super duper underground rap. And Kabe starts getting into rap. And you see this little montage of him slowly getting into like freestyling, listening to a lot of it, making friends, generally becoming a creative. And he's talking about how had he not found an outlet like this, he was probably going to live the rest of his life thinking he was average, that he didn't have anything to really offer to the world, that he hadn't have anything to offer himself. But through the lens of hip hop, through the lens of freestyle rap, he found himself. He found the thing that makes Kabe, Kabe.
It's also worth mentioning that one of the CDs that the overweight classmate gave him was a CD of a character we met last week. We didn't talk about him, but like he is like a big deal to Kabe. Sekitoba Kung Fu,
or as I like to call him, Hip Hop Speedwagon.
He really is Hip Hop Speedwagon, isn't he? That's true.
especially this episode. This episode, he was very much Hip Hop Speedwagon. He was just sitting there. Eiko was just sitting here like, oh my god, they're Kongming and Kabe are really going at it. Sekitoba Kung Fu is all like, oh yeah, no, he's going at it so hard. Fucking Kongming's over here doing chants and shit, and it's fucking fire. Kabe's doing his own thing, and it's also great. Like.
Yeah,
Wow.
So essentially at this point, after that little flashback, Kabe gets put on the spot because...
hold on. Oh. I would like to talk about how Kabe responded during that flashback, because that flashback happened because of Aiko's music, no? He flashes back and he's like kind of crying, and it reminds you it reminds me of that scene in Ratatouille when the guy eats food and turns into a kid again.
Oh,
you know?
the
whole thingy, what's it? And he just so he like had that moment where he just remembered like what gave him reason, and then his like own self-doubt is the only thing that's keeping him not in the rap game, and that's when Kongming appears.
Yes. And at that point, he gets a spotlight shined on him, and
because Kabe was about to leave.
Yeah, he was literally on the way out.
Well, that song was nice, but I'm gonna go. And then Kongming's all like, well, he's graced us with our presence here. Here's Kabe Taijin. And he's just like, oh, hi.
And he's like, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck. And then at this point, this is the most raw shit. This is the most raw shit. There's sushi that's nowhere near as raw as this. So. Kongming walks up to this kid and he's like, oh, this is my first rap battle, but I'll have you know, I still won't lose to you. And then Kabe's...
He said, I have a 98% chance of winning.
Yeah. And then Kabe's like, this is your first and you think you can beat me? And he grabs the mic, and then him and Kabe Taijin and Kongming proceed to have the most legendary rap battle I've ever seen. And these motherfuckers are spitting bars. It is crazy. Like, okay, there's a point where, because it's mixed up into like several different stages. There's a point where I believe the lyric is along the lines of Kongming being like, oh yeah, fucking, why don't you just sit down and have yourself a beer? Fucking, there's nothing you can do about this. Get the fuck out of here. And then Kabe Taijin's like, oh, fucking, you think a beer is enough to make me, like, get the fuck out of here? No, I don't need a beer. I need a fucking machine gun. and like, again, like, the big thing about this show that is so fucking cool to me is just how in love this show is with music. And it's one of those things where a lot of idol shows, because I'm still going to call this an idol show, because it is an idol show, I feel. Like, a lot of them pigeonhole themselves into, like, you know, just like pop music or like one genre. Like, I know there's a D4DJ, which is like super duper centered on like that hip hop, like hip hop essentially, and like, you know, DJ stuff. And obviously, you have stuff like Love Live, you have stuff like Aikatsu, although Aikatsu gets like really experimental, so I don't want to actually throw that into the exact same boat as something like Love Live or Idolmaster. But a lot of the time you get a lot of this like designed by committee type shit. But with Kongming, everything about Kongming feels so fucking genuine and all coming from a place of a love of music and a love of the Three Kingdoms.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's what he did. That was his life.
Yeah. And so the rap battle goes and goes and goes. It's the most raw fucking shit ever. I saw something on Twitter from the person that actually translated it, and they were just like, I'm going to be real with you, Chief. This is apparently, like, normally to translate an episode for Crunchy, it doesn't take very, very long. They were going through, or no, it's not Crunchy, it was High Dive. But they're talking about, like, translating the episode and how translating that rap battle and then like transliterating it in a way that made sense and still sounded like a rap. They were going on record to say that it was like the hardest fucking thing they had ever done, but they were so happy with it, and like the way that they had translated it and such was so fucking good. Like, these were actual bars I'm pretty sure you could spit. But then Aiko's in the crowd and she's like freaking out, and she's like, oh man, these guys are going crazy. And then that's when Lana was talking about earlier, where Kung Fu shows up and he's like, yeah, man, these guys are going crazy. Aiko looks up and she's like, who the fuck is this guy? And then that's when you get to the last stage of the rap battle. Kongming goes from rapping to reading out a Chinese poem that at first, when you're listening to it, you perceive it as, oh, he is looking to the past and being sorrowful of the things that he has done. But in reality, it is actually a poem about moving to the future, a sutra about moving forward and to keep going despite what you've done. And like, everyone in the audience hears this, and it cuts visually to like, he's essentially like walking through a painting. And then you just have Aiko and Kung Fu just like in this little dinghy of a boat.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, Aiko's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Every single drawing of Aiko in that entire sequence is so good, man.
It's so funny because like the mood that's being set is so serious and sincere. And then you have Aiko who's just drawn like a gremlin.
He's just like, why am I here? I don't understand what's going on. What do you want me to do?
And then you have Kung Fu, who's just being hip-hop Speedwagon, who is translating all of the hip-hop lyrics to Aiko because she can't understand them. And so he's giving this poem, and it touches Kabe, because at this point, Kabe realizes that he's kept telling himself he wants to leave hip-hop behind, because it's going to kill him. It's too much stress. He doesn't want to do it. But then he realizes that that's the one aspect of his life that lets him feel the most alive. And he keeps talking to himself about how he wants to go back to the days of when he first discovered hip hop and really, really loved it and didn't have the pressure of everything. But then he realized that a lot of that was just something he was going to have to work through. And that at the end of the day, no matter the pressures, he still loved hip-hop. He still loved doing the thing that he wanted to do. And so he finishes off with this incredibly sincere series of bars, talking about himself, how he's back, and how he wants to keep rapping. And the applause is fucking thunderous, with everyone just chanting, Kabe Taijin! Kabe Taijin! Kabe Taijin! And it is like, so Kongming lost super fucking hard. And he's just like, oh no, what will I do?
Yeah.
Kongming has been defeated.
Kongming lost.
My rap
and
career
now...
is over. I gotta retire from rap.
To be fair, he did a way better job than Will Smith.
True.
So, as he promised, Kongming lost against Kabe, and now he owes Kabe one wish. This means that Kabe will not be joining Aiko as her partner. in rap. And so Kongming says to him, "Okay, well, Kabe, what do you want? What do you want me to do, Kabe?"
Well,
And-
since you've so generally asked me, Mr. Kongming, 100 million yen.
It's like, yes, I will get you 100
No,
million
I'm sorry.
yen.
No, I'm sorry. It was a joke. Please don't take that seriously. And like Kabe like legitimately says he wants 100 million yen, and like Eiko and the boss are freaking the fuck out. And then Kongming's like, well, I mean, if you want 100 million yen, I'm gonna have to. No, please, I was joking. I think the way they translated it was, no, I'm sorry. I just thought it would be worth a shot to ask.
Yeah. There is a small thing we should touch upon, which, like, you know, it's Kongming doing his Kongming thing.
No, not just yet. Not just yet.
No?
Because you have to remember what happens there at that point is after that, he's like, oh, yeah, you know, you'd say that you want to give me a wish, but I've already gotten what I wanted. I just wanted to enjoy rap again. So you know what? I'm going to join you guys. I'm going to become a rapper with Eiko, and I'm going to help her on her journey. And then the 4D chess starts.
Yeah. So there was something that happened during the rap battle we didn't mention at the end, where Kongming asks Kabe, you know, because of the stomach ulcers he would get from stress on like other performances. He said, "How's your stomach?" And and Kabe's just like, I feel fine. What I feel okay. What? Okay, all right.
And so
that's great.
There's an entire
Turns out-
network of things here. This is
Yeah.
this is a
There's a
series of
lot.
shit. So from the start, Kongming is shaking hands with Kabe, and he's like, "This is all according to plan. First, I had my most trusted spy, Eiko's #1 fan, stake out Kabe and see what exactly was wrong with him. From there, I learned that he was suffering from stomach ulcers. So, in the free drink that we gave him, I snuck some stomach medicine in it, so after he drank it, it would cure him of all of his stomach ulcers and give him a nice pleasant feeling in his stomach." Like, he has an entire intelligence network.
Yeah, and then he's like, I also looked around to find out what Kabe's favorite songs were when he was in high school.
Yes!
And I made sure that Eiko would sing it when he came in.
Yes! Literally everything was staged.
He had
by
this shit
Kongming.
on lock, man.
This dude! This is the Death Note of idol anime! I'm fucking convinced, man! It's like, I was like, oh, this is so wholesome! And then Kongming's like, all according to Keikaku! Like, fuck, dude! And like, not to mention the show is still gorgeous. Like, everything sounds fucking fantastic. Like, oh my god. The show's so fucking good, dude.
I will say I do agree with Lana. I forget if you mentioned this last time or if you just mentioned it when we were talking outside of podcast, but the fact that they should have held off on adding Kabe to the ED until this episode ended.
Yeah.
Not the last one.
Yeah, I was talking about that last podcast where I was a little disappointed that they threw Kabe into the ED so early.
Yeah.
The show's still at its infancy. It's episode what, 5? Like,
I think we're on 5 now, yeah.
It's fine. I don't have any problems. Yor was in the opening before she was introduced.
Okay, that's a little different though. That's a little different.
It's fine though. We
Well,
know,
we still
we know
have-
we know they're telling we know that there's things that are happening. We've got a whole show to watch. Don't complain about episode 5.
Yeah,
for that.
because we do have one more character we have to get introduced to that is in the opening. We don't know who she is, but
It's not like these characters are being held over our heads until episode 65.
my
you know?
best guess is this girl that we're going to meet next time, or not next time. I don't know when we're going to meet her. Whenever we meet her, I assume she's going to be like her social media like person.
She could be like a
surprised.
backup singer.
Yeah.
A backup singer or like a dancer. Because I know usually having a dancer is usually a very common thing for these types of like club shows.
We also haven't met the big bads in this show that have been teased in the opening. What's their name? Azalea?
Oh yeah, the fucking triple like diva group
Yeah.
that are like on the big screen, and then their big spooky looking manager.
We don't know who
God.
they are yet.
I'm actually really curious about those. But...
I'm assuming we're gonna meet them once Aiko gets the 100,000 likes and then goes to the festival.
Almost certainly, I want to say that like once we actually get to the festival, which this next episode I'm assuming is going to be them actually hitting that goal, and then the episode after that is probably going to be them hitting the festival, because like this show goes at a fucking pretty big pace to the point where it was like I'm actually surprised that Kabe actually was given 2 episodes, but I'm very happy that he was given 2 episodes because his character is wonderful. He is straight up right now. He's my favorite character. And part of that is just because I'm a big nerd that has also been a creative that has been close to burnout on several occasions. Burnout and we flirt on the regular. Like it's scary. So I can relate to this kid on a spiritual level. I know what it feels like to be so into something that you risk physical harm to just like push yourself, you know? And I feel like a lot of people have like had to deal with that in one medium or another, you know?
Mm-hmm. So now I think it's time we talk about favorite show. It is time.
Spy Family.
Spy Family Mission 5. Will they pass or fail?
Spoiler alert, as it should be obvious, they pass. But let's get on to the episode.
Yeah,
what if they
didn't?
didn't? The episode just ended. This is the last episode.
That would be hilarious.
So I feel like I say this a lot. I think I said this exact phrase last episode, actually. This is the best episode of Spy Family.
This was the episode where I watched this episode beforehand, and I remember I had this conversation with Nick. I was like, this episode made me really realize, wow, man, if you know what you're doing when it comes to pacing, you can fit a lot into one episode. Like so much. I just realized that so much happens in this episode that it's like in another anime, you know, where like maybe 3 things happen. Mm-hmm. There's like 15 things that happen in this episode. Like,
well, it's because in this episode they used a lot of improvisation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They did. This is one of those examples of, to make up for the fact that they were barren for content in this part of the arc. They did just improvise with content that people would like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know, but apparently a lot of what happens in this episode in the manga is like 2 panels long to what they would have given like a minute or 2 to.
At this point, not even that. There's just straight up a good, I want to say, third or even half of this episode is anime original. Like, it's straight up anime original. And this is something that I'm going to say right now. Because of the fact that this is going to be a 25 episode series, they're doing the first 12, and then they're going to be taking a break and having the last 13 air later in the year. At this point, I feel like this is what happens when you give Wit Studio and Cloverworks like the gaping Shueisha money butthole. Like they were just like bleh, and like goddamn, Cloverworks and Wit have been able to go fucking nuts making the show that they want to make. And
man, speaking of nuts though, now that you've said like, oh yeah, it is like 25 episodes, we're going to get a second opening. Mixed Nuts is going to be gone at some point, and I'm not ready for that.
I don't want to think about losing Mixed Nuts.
I don't want to live in a world without Mixed Nuts by Hige Dand, or what is it? Real Hige Dandism? That's the band name.
Shout outs to Mixed Nuts. Boy. But to start off with this episode, everything begins with the Forager family walking to the school to see if they get accepted. And that string of bad luck from the end of the last episode with their family portrait falling keeps going. First, we have Yor's bracelet, which just snaps on her wrist. And she's like, oh God, why did my bracelet snap on the way to the school? And Lloyd's like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. That shit happens. And then a black cat crosses their path. And then Yor's like, oh God, Lloyd, it's a black cat. And then at this point, Lloyd, being the sensible person here, is like, black cats are a superstition. Don't worry about it. Adopt a black cat. I love black cats. They are the cutest animals. If you are a black cat hater, leave.
If you are a black cat hater, you didn't watch Kiki's Delivery Service.
I thought you were going to make a joke with the black cat anime.
I'm not that smart.
Oh my God. But then at this point, so, they've had the black cat, they've had the chain snap. Can't get any worse than that, right? And then you see the shot of Anya where her eyes are shaking and she's like, Papa, Mama, I just stepped in shit. Except she didn't say shit.
She said poop.
Yeah, she said poop.
She said unko.
Unko. So she steps in shit. And they go to the school. They don't see Anya's student number. And then they're like, oh, we failed. And then Anya looks up to them, sincere as possible, and is like, I'm sorry that we failed because I stepped in shit. And then Lloyd's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then we get to meet the GOAT once again, Henry Henderson.
Or as somebody's been pointing out to me, it's just Mr. Harrison as a human from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That's him.
I'm about to throw you out of a fucking window. That's cursed knowledge that never should have been imparted to the human race.
I was going to tell you that earlier, and I was like, wait a minute. This is good podcast material.
I'm almost tempted to tell you to drop and give me 50, soldier.
Listen, if there's anything I can do that I derive a weird pleasure from, is breaking Nick's brain. Do you know how much pleasure I had from when I got to reveal to this man that the English voice for Davis Motomiya from Digimon 02 is the same voice actor for Rock Lee and Naruto? This man was like, oh my God! What? You can't do this to me! Stand and draw. We were playing Digimon at the time. So,
That's it. That's it. I can't do this.
Oh no, switch of glasses.
This is my Joker arc. I'm wearing the dumb sunglasses. It's done now. You're done. So, we see Henry Henderson. And then Henderson's like, oh, my elegant boy. Everything will be fine. Your child is at the top of the wait list. You scored just outside the realm of possibility of being accepted immediately. But the moment someone drops out, Anya will be the first. And then Lloyd's like, wait, what? And then Henry's like, yeah, you scored like super high. What? Why?
He's like, but how after all we did? And he's like, well, tell you what. You know what is an kills most things on this planet? A mosquito. You killed a mosquito. You did a favor for Swan. And he's like, that's absurd. There's no way you're giving us this part enough of killing a mosquito. No way.
No, yeah. And then Henry is after that just like, no, yeah. You all are exemplary examples of the best of citizenship. The most elegant of the elegant. But as he's talking to them, he's like, so, I'm probably not going to be here when Anya gets here. I'm probably not going to get to teach her. I'm sorry. I kind of punched Swan in the dick. And he's really mad about it. He's kind of mauling.
Also, Kai, you're right. He didn't give it to them because of a mosquito. He put them on a wait list.
Yeah.
He put them on the top of the wait list. But they did not get accepted into Eden Academy. They got put on a wait list.
But then this is when you hear Yor and you get what is one of my favorite traits about this fucking character. And it is her intrusive thoughts where she's like, wait a minute, Anya's not going to be able to get in unless someone drops out. and she has this fantasy that's in black and white and monochromatic red, where she's hunting down one of the parents, and the guy's like, "No, please, my son is turning 6. He's going to be part of Eden Academy soon." And then that's when Yor's like, "Well, you see, sir, that's why you have to die. I'm sorry, but I'm doing it for Anya." And it cuts to this fucking really well-drawn blood splatter with like ink lines and shit in it. And then immediately afterward, Yor starts shaking her head, be like, "No, no, no, I can't be casually murdering people for the benefit of my child. This is bad. Let's not even entertain
I will say as a
that
callback."
idea." And like Lana brought up a very good point about Yor's like intrusive thoughts, where it was like while we were talking earlier, essentially the way Lana described it, if you would want to describe it.
Sure, sorry. So Yor has visions about killing people in the same way that you are sitting in your car at a stoplight, and there's traffic going. You're waiting at the light, and your brain goes, "What if I just go?" You know, like, but you immediately go, "That's crazy. I'm crazy." and then you just swipe it away.
Yeah.
You're sitting at a parking spot, and you're in front of a lake. And you're in drive, but you're at the spot, and you have your foot on the brake, and you're thinking, if I let go of the brake, I'll drive right in. and then you go, no, that's crazy. Yor goes, "What if I just kill somebody so then my daughter can get into the school and then everything's okay?" That's crazy. I'm crazy. Okay.
But I want to say, just all in all, with everything that went down with Anya, like, Henderson cooked those books like a fucking line chef. Fuck, dude. I have never seen books cooked this hard. Also, before we get back into advancing the story any further, there's one thing from the beginning of the episode that I forgot to mention. There's a point where some of Lloyd's superiors, or Twilight's superiors, are talking, and they're talking about Lloyd. And while they're talking about Lloyd, you see his file up on screen. Most of the information is blacked out, except for the single most important piece of information. That is labeled Pantsu, black. So it is confirmed that Lloyd's underwear, black. He only owns black underwear.
In my mind, it's a black Speedo.
I want to say boxers. Okay. Speedo, boxers, or briefs. Tell me in the comments what you think Lloyd would wear, but I think boxer. Kai, I know you think a Speedo.
Like a Speedo, or like, you know, those like boxer briefs you get that are like skin tight?
Yeah.
Like those.
What do you think?
Like a black pair of those.
Then what do you think, Lana? What kind of underwear does Lloyd wear?
Oh my god, I'd have to see a picture again. Fuck. I didn't even think.
Well, which would you think would fit his character most?
Because
we don't actually see the underwear. We're just guessing.
He lives. Look at where he lives.
We just know it's black.
He probably just wears he probably wears boxers, but they're probably like not very loose.
See, I think he wears loose ones.
They'd be tight because, like, you know, he needs to be like
he's got to move.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's got to move. That thing's flopping around while he's getting shot at. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if the boxers are loose, he can quickly get rid of them.
I'm not running around naked, bro.
Lloyd Forger would blend in far better naked.
No, stop, please. You're hurting me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one, man. I'm sorry.
That's a no from me, dog.
Well, you don't like naked dads?
I don't like thinking.
I'm not saying I don't like naked dads. I'm just saying that, like, in the case of his character and everything, I'm like, nah. I don't think so.
This is going to go down in history as the Weeb Roundup boxer arc. This is our stepladder Ace Attorney conundrum. We're going to be here for years. and I'm fine with never getting closure.
Listen, one day the anime is going to be like, all right, anime only scene. You're going to see Lloyd Forger in his underwear.
You know what?
We're going to get the answer.
After this podcast goes up, I'm making a poll on Twitter.
Oh my God.
I'm going to make a poll on Twitter as to what kind of underwear Lloyd Forger wears. You're not ready. You're not going to be ready. But
no.
At this point, the Forger family is back home. Anya is doing what is essentially like a series of sutras and prayer dances, trying to make sure that she gets accepted. And Lloyd is just like, that girl ain't right. Like literally just pulls the Hank Hill, that girl ain't right. And they're super nervous about it. But then they immediately get a phone call. Lloyd, right before the phone call, is just like, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. Phone rings. This motherfucker streaks across the room like he's fucking Sonic the Hedgehog, leaving legitimate after images. There's a funny little detail that was pointed out to me where Anya goes after one of the after images of Lloyd and gets like super duper like discombobulated because Lloyd zooms right past her and just answers the phone in like 8 frames. It's so nutty. And so picks up the phone. Huh? I see. All right. Thank you. Goodbye. Hangs it up. Pulls a party popper out of his pocket. On your past. She's going to the school. She's going to Eden, baby. And like, it's such a joyous little scene. You just get to see everyone so happy. They do like a little callback where Lloyd actually picks up Anya again. And it's exactly like when
he doesn't die of fatigue this time. He actually picks her up and then he like puts her on his like shoulder kind of. And then out of nowhere, unprompted, Frankie Franklin comes in the door like, hey, what's up? Heard your daughter got into Eden. He's like, how you know that? I'm an informant. I get around, Anyway, we gotta celebrate. So they all just have dinner together. Frankie's getting goddamn drunk. He's getting tipsy. Yours downing an entire bottle of wine by herself.
And this is the funny part.
It's great.
It's really funny. So you see Anya in the front talking with like Lloyd and Frankie. And in the background, like slightly blurred, you see fucking Yor just downing glass after glass of wine, just consistently. It's really funny, because if you look at the episode preview from the previous episode, Anya's not in the front. Anya's not in the front obscuring her.
Yeah, we only get the shot of Yor drinking, which I think was just like a thing of like, it was a nice way to show that shot, because it's like, oh, this is the fact that, oh, you need to know Yor is going to be drunk next episode.
I was going to say straight up, I think it's one of those things where they just cut Anya out of the shot entirely because they knew horny nerds were going to latch on to Yor Forger downing glass after glass of wine.
I know I did. The only reason why I even noticed that was because in the episode preview last week, I was like, that shot, that's the one. But like, yeah.
And at this point, I would like to segue for a second. I would like to segue for a second here.
By all means.
I want to talk about the greatest case of our generation. The internet versus Yor Forger.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right, so we're recording on Mother's Day, so I guess it's as good a time as any to talk about my Twitter feed. Let's get on my Twitter feed.
So I want to start off.
We're gonna refresh Twitter. We're gonna fully close it, put in add new tweets, sort it by recently added. We're going to refresh now. All right, so you guys can keep talking. I'll just scream like Shulk when Yor Forger comes up in a Happy Mother's Day post. Ah!
But I was just gonna say that, like, right now, everyone on the internet is simping over Yor Forger. Partially myself included.
That picture of Bowser Jr. back when.
No, I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's literally that picture of Bowser Jr. Except it's Anya of just everyone is jerking off to my mom, and I'm over here just like, bro. Like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I see that shit and I feel kind of sad because I really like Yor as a character. I think that she is fucking precious. But I go on my Twitter feed and I'm just like, oh, that is your Forager getting absolutely railed. Okay. We're gonna move on from this real quick.
You really do got to sit there for a second looking at this art and be like, oh, this is some nice Spy Family art. And then you look down and you turn to that one architect from How I Met Your Mother where he looks at the building and goes, that's a penis.
Oh my god. But right now, like, the internet is going absolutely nuts over Your Forager, and I'm pretty sure they will continue to go nuts over Your Forager until Chainsaw Man comes out. And then when Chainsaw Man comes out, we're gonna get constant Maki fan art, and that's all we're gonna get for about a year.
I mean, show hasn't even come out yet, and I'm still getting Maki fan art on my dash.
Oh yeah, like, it's going to go full
once that show
tilt
comes
with the
out,
anime.
it's gonna go full. But getting back to, talking about the episode show, we're done with this tangent.
At this point, Anya's like, oh, Dad, I did really well, and so, we should celebrate. Do you think that you could be like Bond Man and we could rent out this cast?
No.
Yeah, he just goes,
it's a stupid idea.
Never gonna happen.
No, I'm not doing that.
And so Anya begins silently crying, and then you get Frankie coming up being like,
who's busted drunk.
He's just
hammered.
gaslighting Twilight the whole time. She's like, oh, poor Anya. Like, you did so well. We should really celebrate. Like, your father should put out, he should do something nice for you. That's what he does, is your dad.
And so Twilight cracks, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll see what I can do. And so he puts a call out to the spy organization being like, look, we need to rent out this castle. And so Twilight has got clout in the spy organization. And they're like, you need that castle? Done. And so they rent that castle out for him in a matter of hours and then fly out a full team to fly him and his family to the castle. And then they get there, Anya's running around being like, yeah! And Frankie's like, yeah! And then Lloyd's like, oh, this is fine. And then Anya stops dead in her tracks and is just like, wait, Papa, the castle's not complete without servants. And I'm really sad. And I don't know if I'm going to want to go to school if there are no servants. And then Lloyd's like, are you fucking kidding
Frankie's
me?
back at it again, being like, oh, well, your dad should really, he needs to make you happy. Like, you can't just go to school after this. Come on.
So after being gaslit again, Lloyd's like, okay, I'll see what I can do. And so he calls in every available agent in the country to make their way. And you just see this montage. And I think the one that stands out to me the most is there's this dude that is just running full fucking force, like pumping his goddamn arms. And then there's dudes on speedboats and they're making their way to the castle. They arrive and you get this full entourage of all of these spies dressed up like nobles.
And there's this unnamed one who loves Twilight.
Oh, he doesn't
so
love
much.
Twilight. He doesn't love Twilight. He loves Twilight.
He wants to. He's just here to see Twilight, wave at them, and say hello. And then Twilight starts talking.
And it is wonderful because while he's talking, he is tapping two different Morse code messages with his finger on the mic and his foot on the floor. And every one of the spies are just like, okay, don't question anything. Just sit here and listen to directions. Okay, we got this. And so then we get the full setup of the second act, where Anya is like, okay, guys, we're gonna play Bondman, where we have Lloyd, who is going to be Lloyd Man. He's the hero. And then we have the evil Scruff Lord. What was his name, actually? It was Frankie.
I believe they just made Frankie like Scruff Lord. Yeah,
I think it was like the Scruff Lord or the Count Scruff. I'm gonna say Scruff Lord for this. And so they made him like the Scruff Lord. And then she's like, ah, yes, he is the evil Scruff Lord. And then Frankie's like, and he has like a cape and everything. He's really selling the part. And it makes Frankie very, very cute. There's one thing about Frankie in the show that I love to death is that because his design is so simple and cartoon by comparison to everyone else's who's very traditionally anime, they play with that a lot. He almost looks like a One Piece character and he acts like a One Piece character. And it is absolutely a joy to see Frankie animated. Like, it's absolutely wonderful, the kind of character acting that they give him. But then Anya goes to Yor, and then Mama will be, she'll be whatever. And then Yor's like, huh? And it's just like, I can relate to that because straight up, everyone has like the one parent that they would immediately be like, yes, this is you. And then they go to the other parent and they're like, oh no, I didn't think this far ahead. Like, Anya's having to deal with the fact that she has like the object permanence of like a snail. But at this point, the whole shtick is that Frankie is kidnapping Anya. And Yor is also just kind of along for the ride. So they go up on this like amusement park attraction that's like this giant blimp. And then Anya's like, Lloyd man, save me. And then Lloyd is just like, it's for the mission, 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 it's for the mission. And so he goes on the opposite amusement park ride, riding alongside them. And this is where everything from the manga ends. And this is all anime exclusive. So if you are reading the manga and you have not seen this episode of the anime, fucking do it. They've already added quite a bit to this adaptation, which is one of the reasons why I like this adaptation, is that they are surprising people that have read the manga and they are giving them more shit. I was just going to say, she gives him these 3 questions. And if he loses the quiz, he has to put on some cosplay of Bondman from the Spy Wars anime that Anya likes so much. And so he gets like 1 out of 3. So he fails and he has to put on the cosplay. And what leads into this is Lloyd's blushing because, in the words of Lana, he doesn't want to do it because it's cringe.
It's cringe. I remember the questions, by the way, if you want me to say them.
Oh no, it's fine. Like, the questions are just like set dressing.
I mean, yeah, but like, it's still kind of funny. Well, it's like question 1. What does Anya like about Bondman? And he's like, oh, his face. And she's like, no, it's because he has a pistol with a silencer. He's like, oh, really? Okay, all right. And the question 2, what's her favorite food? He's like, peanuts. I know that one. And Frankie's like, okay, all right. Here's the 3rd question. What does Anya want right now? And he's like, she wants you to put on the Bond outfit. And she's like, well, my mouth's kind of dry, so I'm thirsty, so I want water. And he's like, how was I supposed to know this?
Oh my god.
You weren't. You're supposed to put on the Bondman outfit.
Yeah, exactly.
you suck.
He puts on the outfit. This man is blushing because he feels so embarrassed. He's like, man, this is like if you wore cosplay of what you do for a living. Like, I was saying before, it's like if you were like a regular maid, and then one day, you had that dragon maid moment of like, oh yeah, you wore like a cosplay maid outfit. Kobayashi comes at you, and she's like, yeah, that's the wrong outfit. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's cringe. That's essentially what Lloyd's going through right now. He's like, I don't want to wear this, man.
But Anya sees it.
Stupid.
Anya sees it, and for a brief, fleeting moment, everything bad in her life ceases to exist. Anime is real. And she is on cloud 9. And so Frankie is just like, well, you've had to put on that, so I'll have to see you later. And then they get separated. Lloyd, wearing full Bondman gear, slides down this chute, and then is met by this entire army of all of the other agents. And then this proceeds to the most fucking insane piece of Sakuga that has been in this show so far. And a sequence of, what is this, like 7 minutes?
Yeah, it lasts quite a while.
It's like 6 or 7 minutes of just the most raw fighting animation. It is insane. Camera movement's nuts. Choreo is fucking nuts. Like, I can't even begin to describe this shit, but like, it hits a point when Lloyd's hitting the ground and there's a musical drop akin to like Hero Academia or like a Sawano show where vocals start. And I'm like, oh, we're getting vocals and shit now in tracks. We're doing modern anime bullshit. Let's fucking go. Like, this is this is early Hero Academia levels of fucking nuts. This show is going so hard. Lloyd is running through, tackling people, kicking people, fucking knocking play guns out of their hands and shooting them. There's a point where there's a bunch of balls that are getting shot up into the air. He shoots each of those individual balls. All of them bounce up where Frankie, Anya, and Yor are, and they hit Frankie in the face and knock him the fuck out. He's like, oh, Lloyd, you son of a bitch. Like,
well, yeah,
fuck, dude.
Because Lloyd's just doing such a good job of like taking out these bad guys. The Frankie's just like, get hit by them, Lloyd. And he's just like, I'm gonna do that. Fuck you. And he just shoots.
And like, I can't even here's the thing. A lot of the time I like to sit down and break apart a scene bit by bit for certain things. There's so much going on with this scene that if I were to go through this frame by frame, that would be 6 hours for this one scene. It is insane. And so there comes a point where after all of this, he goes through this huge bombastic fight. There's the wire that the blimp amusement park ride is on. Lloyd rips off his belt, hangs from the wire, explosions all around him. The vocal theme that had stopped playing for a second kicks back in. He lands directly in front of Frankie, Anya, and Yor. He moves up into frame with the camera. He's slightly to like the right side of the screen. The framing looks really fucking good. He stands there for a second, and then you see 2 more explosions in the back. And I'm like, that's not necessary, but it's so fucking cool, dude. Oh my God. There's just so much. Like, everything about this episode screams extra, 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 extra. Up. Animate more. It's fucking insane. And that's not even the best part. Oh, fuck. And then Lloyd has to confront Frankie, but Frankie has one more trick up his sleeve. Well, 2 actually. One of them is publicly embarrassing Lloyd in front of his coworkers, where Lloyd has to play along, being like, "I'm going to save you, Anya." And then that one guy that Lana was talking about is like, "Oh my God, we get to watch Lloyd's acting abilities. This is great."
Yeah, no, he loved it. He was having a great time. And he didn't even do anything. He was like, hey, give her back.
Oh yeah. This dude is like Nick circa like 2008 levels of voice acting. Holy fuck. But he's like, no, give her back. So at this point, Frankie is like, well, I'm going to have to unleash my final measure against you. And so, go, Dark Witch Yorticia. And so you see there's a door that opens up behind Frankie. You see a motion smear of Yor jumping out. And this is a huge difference from what it was in the manga. Because everything that I just talked about previously in the manga did not happen. But this fight between Yor and Lloyd did. And so Yor is walking up, and this is like some primo character acting shit. Because at this point, she's fucking wasted. She's gone to another planet. Done so. But she's just like acting very playful. She's moving her arms and stuff around, and she's swaying from like left to right. Her face is flushed. It's absolutely gorgeous in terms of how they have presented this character. And then she starts fighting Lloyd, and she opens up with this powerful fucking kick that is so powerful that it whiffs completely, but the air pressure from this kick cuts Lloyd's face. And then you get a close-up of Yor, who is completely dark, her eyes are red, and then you get an extreme close-up where she's like, no one's gonna take Anya from me. And like, you get this incredible fucking fight. This incredibly well choreographed one-on-one slugfest where Lloyd is just blocking for his fucking life and Yor is like unleashing fucking Mashiba style flicker jabs and hooks. She's boxing this dude. She's kickboxing. She's going on her hands and like kicking Lloyd from like down way low. And Lloyd's like, what the fuck? Why is she so strong? And then there gets to be a point where she's about to unleash this huge fucking kick. And Lloyd's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die. And then she's wearing high heels. Her heels snap. She's about to deliver this kick, falls completely into the air, does like a full spin, lands flat on her side, and passes the fuck out. This is another scene where I think if I went through it, if Kai and I went through this scene together, we would be talking about it for about 4 hours.
Oh, there'd be a lot. I don't think it'd be 4 hours, but like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in that.
You underestimate that time we talked about that one Ruby scene, man.
Oh boy,
that was like a 2-minute fight, and we talked about it for 3.5 hours.
Was it really that long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I could have swore it was only. Like
I'm pretty sure
2
it was like
hours.
2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah, no, that sounds more like it. I want to say it was closer to 2 hours.
I think
But
we could
yeah.
probably talk about all of the action shit together for at least 6.
Man, I do think we need to record that at some point.
Oh my god.
For context, the fight he's talking about, we were in a call. We went over the Winter Schnee versus Crow fight and talked, and we were just
From
like,
Ruby.
analyzing
From
it.
Ruby,
Yeah,
for those
from
that
Ruby.
don't know.
Yeah, and just how jank that fight is comparatively to some of the newer fights in Ruby, where like, you know, they got some people that like knew what they were doing when it came to choreo. They stopped using treadmills so much when it came to the mocap. But like current Ruby looks fine. Current Ruby looks. I think that coming from where we started into where we are, going off of the weird tangent Ruby real quick, it's an all right show. At this point, I'm in it just to be like, oh, where's the ending? I've been at this I've been watching the show since high school. Where's the ending?
At this point, you're so invested in, you can't stop.
It's the same thing I had with Voltron, where like I was like, I'm how many seasons into this show? When's the ending? All right, fine. I'll just watch it. I'll just finish it. Which you know, Voltron ended bad. I will say that show was terrible. But it died because of its fan base. But getting off of this tangent, I will talk about how bad Voltron was for actual hours.
We'll do
Let's
that
not talk
another
about
day.
that.
That's a special feature.
Let's get back to Spy Family, my favorite show of this season.
So I just want to say one thing right now before I go any further. Your Forger is my favorite wine mom of all time.
She's really great.
She is my favorite wine mom.
Nick and I got into a little bit of a debate on like, you know, when she's getting in drunk in this entire episode, she's got one bottle of wine, and I was like, I feel like, you know, in between the moment where they're in the house and she's drinking versus when they get on the airplane and she's still drinking, I'm like, that's a different bottle of wine. And Nick's like, no, that's the same bottle of wine. She's a lightweight. And it's like, okay. I mean, I guess.
Straight up, I think that the way that Yor would work, she would have to have like probably a decently like there's probably not a lot of body weight there.
Well, she has to have like a decent amount of muscle though, right?
That's true. She probably has a decent amount of muscle. I still think she's a lightweight, personally. That's me, but I think she just drank one big bottle of wine the whole night and just got fucking super plastered because she's lightweight. Meanwhile, Kai thinks she's drank several. Yeah. This is a debate that we will have one day on the main stage. It will be glorious.
Listen, what one day we will see your forger with 4 bottles of wine, and she's gonna say, I am going to drink all of this in 5 minutes. Lloyd comes in, pulls her away. No, you will not. If you do that, you will die.
But just kind of getting back to everything now. So Lloyd just walks up to Frankie, and then Frankie's like, oh, well, you've gone through all of my forces. There's no way you can stop. And he literally barely taps Frankie, and Frankie fucking dies. And so he kneels down to Anya. At this point, his gloves have
or not even. He at this point his gloves are shattered. He's looking at her. He's still standing. He's blushing. He looks down at her. His mask falls off, and he says, like, I'm here to rescue you, Princess Anya. And then Anya just breaks character immediately. She goes like, ah, Papa, and he like goes into his legs. He's like, I'm your dad now. Okay.
And it just leads to this really nice family moment of the spies that are there just start tearing up. They hit a button. They launch a bunch of fireworks. Yours passed out, drunk on a couch. Frankie equally passed out, drunk on a couch. And Anya is talking to Lloyd, being like, hey, Dad, I'm gonna do my best at this school, okay? So, you know, I'm happy that I can do this. Thank you for all of this. And Lloyd just gets to sit there for a moment and just cherish a good little experience with his daughter. And it's a wholesome little time. Like, that's just one thing about this show is that, like, once again, there's this theme of duality going on where at any point you can have like this huge bombastic set piece. And then you flip the coin and you're suddenly back to normal, where Lloyd is getting to live at least a fragment of a normal life and getting to kind of feel what it's like. Anya's getting to live a life that she's never gotten to know. Yor gets to have a reprieve from her life as a killer. And in general, it's just nice. And I think that's the thing about this show that just makes it so cozy with like the way that they blend all of these bombastic action set pieces with just these little cozy slice of life sections. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think very few shows have really tried to do something like this. And I think that's one reason why the show is so popular, is because it takes the things that people like about slice of life and just blends it in with bombastic shonen bullshit.
I think because of that blend, that's why I like it so much, because like I've watched those two kinds of shows on their own, but like to mix that in a way that is so it's really hard to pick a word. Like when I want to describe this, I think that they've married the two ideas as best they can.
Mm-hmm. And so at this point, I think we're all spy familyed out.
Yeah. Unless Lana, do you want, because at this point, you know, like Lana, the first time she watched the episode was with us. Before that, she had only the manga for context. As somebody who read the manga beforehand, Lana, how would you what do you think? What do you think about the current climate of the show?
That we need to get to the next episode.
Yep. It's fair.
Can we get started? Can we start the plot, please? Get the show start. It's been 5 episodes. We're done with the table setting. That's all it is. So they decided to finish off the episode with some more table setting. So we're going to go in episode 6, and Anya's going to start school, or at least starting school, because that's how Shonen Jump works. And then we're gonna get a show. It'll be cool.
Let's also real quick. This is the episode where we get the face. I'll make
Jujutsu Kaisen episode 16. Kyoto Sister School Goodwill Event Team Battle Part 2.
We got to see Panda do something.
Panda did something.
What I'm here
Let's
for.
move on. Let's move on to the next episode.
Oh, boy. I mean, okay. Speaking of a little bit to that episode, because I assume at this point we've been going for
No. It's fine. So the Japanese air date was on January 30th. So January 30th, 2021, and the US air date was on March 19th, 2021. So we're heading into, the end of the winter. The episode begins with a continuation of the conversation between Toto and Yuji, because Yuji was not living up to Toto's standards of his new best friend. And that brings me to the meme I saw right as we were finishing watching the episode. Sometimes you just need two men. We are two men. We're burly. We'll do what you want. Yes, our bodies are strong, but our friendship is stronger. We've been friends for over 5 minutes. Of course, there have been ups and downs, but we always come to terms with our differences because friendship like this comes once in a lifetime. By hiring us, you will receive not just the strength of our bodies, but the strength of our emotional bond as well. And then they have a little tutorial on how to improve Yuji's abilities.
Yeah, because the way they explain it is that, oh yeah, power starts in your navel, and then it flows to like each of your limbs. The big issue most people have is they think of all of their limbs separately. You just need to think of it all together in one go, so that way you don't have to think as hard about bringing power to one particular limb. You're just bringing it to your body. And then right after that happens, he goes on this big explanation. There's all these fancy graphics, and then afterwards, Itadori's like, oh yeah, I think I get it. And then immediately his entire body is just on fire. And then Toto's like, okay, good. And then his entire body's on fire. And then they start scrapping. And like, oh my god. The fight between Itadori and Toto is like relatively brief, I feel, overall. But like it's very fighting gamey, where Toto is doing like what is essentially like this inner monologue of talking through everything Itadori is doing, where he's like, oh man, the moment I give a horizontal swing, he comes and meets me with a vertical swing. We're perfectly matched. He thinks exactly as I do. And there comes a point where Itadori is about to use like the Divine Fist, and he's about to punch him in the fucking face. And then Toto's like, that'd be cool if it worked. And then he headbutts Itadori's fist to make it so he can't get the full power of the punch out. And then Itadori's like, bro, what the fuck? He pulled the Makanouchi Ippo, and it's goddamn insane. And like these 3 episodes that we saw, just to kind of go into this for a second, one thing that I kind of want to bring to attention, I suppose, is one thing that I think the show does very well is its use of 3D camera movement. And these 3 episodes in particular super duper highlight that. A lot of the instances of these fights are taking place in very relatively wide fields surrounded by trees. And this is all modeled in 3D, but it's all modeled in such a way where it doesn't look jarring. And they're using a lot of camera movements while compositing a lot of the characters in afterwards that are 2D. And other than one particular section that looks a little iffy to me in terms of the camera movement and the way they match with the 3D and the 2D, it looks so smooth, and it leads to some incredibly dynamic action. It looks so good. Like, I have actually been shocked that I have held off so long on goddamn watching this. But I believe after this, we cut to
Mechamaru.
Mechamaru, yeah.
Okay.
And so I believe in this first episode, we cut to the fight between Panda and Mechamaru. This is the episode where we finally get to see Panda fucking do something. So we immediately cut with, I believe it is Mechamaru and... Help me out here, Kai. I'm having a bit of trouble here. This first episode, I'm a little fuzzy on to a point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because like in my mind, this episode was a lot, but to me, it was just like, it was finding out about Panda. There's a lot about Panda we find out in this fight. We find out that Panda is not a panda. The panda is a corpse, a cursed corpse that the principal had raised as a baby panda, and he just kept pumping his cursed energy into it, where like he became like a, I want to say it was like a defect corpse, where like he started to like grow and have a mind of his own and everything, but at the same time he's not a panda, and he's not a person. And they also bring up the fact that Panda apparently has 2 other souls inside of him, or cores.
Yes. So the way it works is that normally when you make one of these dolls, they have 1 core, and then that is how they function. It is a core of cursed energy. However, Panda has 3. And we get more into that once we get into the fight with Mecha and Panda. And then we also learn about Mecha. And this is fucked up. Where you cut to where Mecha is actually being remote controlled. And his pilot is way off somewhere in a bathtub filled with what looks like blood. And his skin is gone. And he's covered in bandages. But he has a lot of fucking spiritual, like, cursed energy. So he's, like, going absolutely nuts. Just piloting this little mech. And so...
if because I assume people coming here from, like, Comics Explained, if you watched Invincible, he's just robot. He's just robot. That's Mechamaru.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
But it gets to the point where Mechamaru and Panda start fighting. And Mechamaru is throwing, like, fucking everything at this dude. He shoots Panda at one point, like, right at the beginning of the actual encounter. And Panda goes down like a sack of bricks. And I'm like, oh, God, Panda's dead. And then he gets up. He's like, nah, I'm just kidding, guys. I'm good. And so him and Mecha, they start fucking swinging. And there comes a point where Mecha's just like, okay, it's time for my ultimate technique, my Hyogi. He opens his mouth. And, like, I think combines it also with a couple of barrels that he has in his arms and shoots this gigantic laser with these charcoal smear frames that look so goddamn good. Panda gets blown up like he's goddamn Cell fighting Teen Gohan. And you never hear from Panda again, and he's dead.
Well,
Finally.
not exactly.
God,
No,
that
Panda's
took so long.
fucking dead.
You know, I really just couldn't believe they actually did it. Panda's dead.
It's like when they killed Eren Yeager.
Yeah. So Panda's dead. We've got to get ourselves a new character.
But then, suddenly, smoldering in the ashes, in the crater that was left behind, you see not Panda, but Monkey! And so it turns out, like what you were saying earlier, Panda has 3 cores. The way the principal puts it when talking to him as a child is 2 siblings. One of them is a gorilla. One of them is a MacGuffin that we don't know yet, because when Panda got shot in the shoulder, it apparently disabled the other core, and Panda's being a cheeky little fucker and not telling us what the other one is. And I'm very angry about it. But anywho, basically, that core got disabled when Panda got shot in the shoulder, and then his Panda core got disabled when he took the gigantic blast from Mecha. So all that's left is Monkey. So Panda, like, changes shape and essentially takes on the form of what is essentially a bear gorilla.
It's like, so if you watched Avatar, remember how, like, they had, like, the spirits that were, like, you know, kind of like angered and became, like, corrupted and stuff?
Yeah.
You know how there was that spirit of like a bear that was, like, terrorizing this town that he had to help?
Yes.
The way Panda is, like, contorted into this gorilla is the same way that bear is contorted into like this evil bear spirit from a regular bear. It's like those same, like, you know, like, white face, black markings. It's that same, like, aesthetic.
You want to know what I could actually call him, I think? He's a very pointy bear. A very pointy bear. And so he starts fighting Mecha. And he's going nuts. And this fight is, like, super cool. Mecha at some point starts doing a lot of hit and run bullshit, where he starts flying around like a jet. There's one shot in particular that stood out really well to me, and that is when Panda is about to take this huge punch. They're both in midair. And what ends up happening is Mecha swooses while he's flying in, like, 3-dimensional space up above the punch and, like, grazes up against it to fly past him. And he's essentially flying all around. And he's like, oh, I can sense where your core of energy is, so I'm going to shoot that to disable you. So Mecha shoots Panda, and then Panda's like, oh. And then his eyes go dark. And the Mecha's like, okay, I've killed Panda. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, you see a hand that just shoots out and grabs Mecha. And he's like, did you think I didn't know how to fake where my energy is, you fucking moron? And so he tears off Mecha's arm, crushes his fucking head, and then Panda's like, GG's, fucking got him. And then you get this really nice little heart-to-heart where afterward, Mecha, like Panda turns back into being Panda. And he's like, you know what? I kind of like you. And then he's like, and then Mecha afterwards is like, oh, if you actually saw me IRL, you wouldn't like me at all. Because I'm hideous.
And then Panda is just like, I'm a panda, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't care.
If I gave a shit about what you looked like, I deserve to get picked on.
Exactly.
I'm a panda.
And it's really cool because he starts talking about what is essentially like, he's very much going into like the elements of humanity and how he's talking about how he'll see how people like risk their lives over nothing. And he'll like talk about how people for the most part do very, very silly things that with the way that he's been raised and the type of being that he is, he thinks it's kind of dumb and he doesn't quite understand, but he still likes people. So he's like, he wants to be Mecha's friend. But at that point, he basically leaves him there and then just shows up. Yep, Mecha retired, JoJo style. Like straight up, Mecha is gone. He is out of the fight. And I think it cuts back to him in the tub being just like, fuck it, whatever. And that fight was absolutely fucking baller. I really dig it. And I think that was the majority of what happened in that first episode was Itadori Todo and Panda versus Mecha.
Yes. We move on to episode 17.
All right, let me pull it up. Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 17, Kyoto Sister School Goodwill Event Team Battle Part 3. Aired on February 6th, 2021, and then March 26th, 2021. The episode opens with a showcase for both so this episode begins with a showcase for Mai and Maki
Nobara?
or Nobara. Well, yeah, there's a fight between there's a fight going on between Maki and
What was her name? Miwa?
Miwa. Yeah.
Yes.
So the reason that like a lot of the reasons that Maki, that's the girl with the sword. The
Maki
blue-haired
is the girl
with
with the glasses. Miwa is the girl with the sword and blue hair.
Yeah. Miwa's blue hair. Maki is the 1010, and Mai is that bitch, who is Maki's sister.
Yeah, oh, Maki's the one with the spears. Yeah, Maki's great. I love this chick.
Maki's fantastic.
So Maki is basic. So the thing is, like, these people are like, yeah, we don't take Maki very seriously because she doesn't have a.
She can't sense cursed energy. She has no,
But she's actually just a killing machine.
Yeah, she's actually a monster.
So like the whole deal was like, how the hell am I losing to somebody who can't use cursed energy in this close quarters area when they're using a damn spear? And then she just gets her ass kicked for like minutes until her sword gets stolen from her.
Yeah, Miwa gets her sword stolen, and at this point she's like, give it back. And then at that point, she bails and just leaves Miwa there, and she's just like, I want my sword. I want my sword. I wish I had my sword. Please give it back.
And she can't do any because she can't do shit without her sword. So.
Yeah, she's literally her whole shtick is she does Aijutsu, which is sword drawing techniques. And she sheaths the sword, charges it with energy, and then releases it. So without a sword and the sheath, she's worthless.
She is literally just Himura Kenshin's ultimate attack repeatedly until she wins. And it doesn't always work. In fact, it's kind of mid. and she just kind of beefed it against somebody in the melee range.
Yes. I mean, the first time she used that ability on screen, it was against Itadori, and then Itadori gets into the circle, she's like, "Oh, I can slice him," and he just jumps over her. He's like, "Whatever, see ya."
Yo, Itadori's a monster, though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And so we cut from there to Nobara versus Momo, who is the blonde girl with the broomstick that's just kind of flying around. And
she's like small witch lady girl. And she is wrecking Nobara. Wrecking her.
Super hard. Like there's a scene that I like to point to in particular with this fight where Nobara's talking shit because it's Nobara and that's just what she does and that's why she's great. And all of a sudden you see a camera pan and Momo's broom is behind her. And she turns around and she's like, "What?" And then the broom just punches her in the fucking face. And this leads to Momo talking to Nobara, being like, "Yeah, why the fuck are you even wanting to be a Jujutsu sorcerer? Like, you're a woman. This is bullshit." And then Nobara's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And this leads to Momo going on this huge diatribe of being like, "Well, if you're a woman, you really got to be pretty, you know? And then if you're not pretty, you still have to be useful. But in this world of Jujutsu sorcerers, it's not enough to just be one or the other. You have to be both." And it is literally just this allegory of how women are treated in the workplace, where a lot of the time, in a lot of workplaces, people will look down on women if they aren't prim and proper, if they aren't pretty. And if they aren't pretty, then they're going to say you're bad at your job no matter what. And if you're bad at your job anyway, also, that means you're going to get a shit ton of shit thrown at you. Or like, if you're like really pretty and but you're not good at your job, you're going to get all of this condescending bullshit. And it's just the fact that like women in the workplace in general, a lot of the time are just treated like fucking garbage. And that's the point that Momo is wanting to hammer home.
Mm-hmm. She also makes mention of like Maki and Mai, and asks Nobara like, "Well, why do you like Maki? Like Mai's so much better." And then Nobara is like, "Mai is a watered down Maki. I like Maki. Fuck you."
Oh,
like
I think that's I think you're expressing exactly what the viewers are supposed to feel.
Yeah,
I think you just got gotcha'd by the writer. He's got like, I'm sorry. You're telling me who I'm supposed to like? Fuck you.
No, but like the moment she straight up said that Mai is a watered down Maki, it's like, wow, you're actually throwing shade.
You suck. I like them now.
Yeah.
Also, Nobara, during this conversation, during this argument, is throwing energy blasts via nails everywhere. You might find it very familiar as somebody who is a Dragon Ball fan, via the fight between Android 17 and our boy Piccolo. At that moment, after Nobara's like, "I fucking hate you," and she just decides to cause all of her nails to blow up the trees.
And then and this is the point in the Discord call where I start shouting, "Hellzone grenade!"
And it worked.
It worked. And Momo got super fucked. At this point, Nobara jumps up and tries to grab her, but only gets a piece of her broom. And then Momo's like, "Ha, you stupid idiot." And then Nobara pulls out a voodoo doll and is like, "Ha, you stupid idiot." Puts the piece of the broom into the doll, hits it with the hammer, and then Momo's broom just stops working. And she's like, "Wait, what? Fuck." And just hits the ground. And then you hear Nobara's inner monologue being like, "If I swing my hammer at her, I'll fucking kill her." So she brings up the next best thing. She brings out the Pico hammer, the squeaky hammer, and just beats the shit out of Momo with this curse energy charged toy hammer. And it is, and I think the moment they hit her, hits her one time across the goddamn face, but they cut to like 4 separate angles of her just getting fucked. It's fucking brilliant. It is fucking brilliant. And then right as Nobara is about to fuck this girl up within an inch of her life, she gets shot.
Damn.
Yeah. No, she had that too. She
No, it was her
absolutely had
fight.
that.
Literally, this was her fight. And, and she just got cheated out of it. She gets shot in the neck with a fucking rubber bullet. Nobara has been cheated so hard almost every single time so far.
Yeah, but she won.
That is true.
She
won. She totally won.
So Mai's the one who shot her. This is where Mai starts coming into the fight now.
Yeah.
It's a win for everybody involved. Because like it means that the Momo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means Momo doesn't have to take an L. It means that we got to see the gun girl finally do something without killing somebody or being a problem and over monologuing, which makes it possible for the next scene to happen without us feeling like her character has been tarnished by a loss. And it makes Nobara look strong because it was necessary to have a Deus Ex Machina in the room to make sure that she lost.
Yeah, when you put it that way, that's fair. I just wanted to see Momo eat shit and Nobara walk away with the gigantic W rather than the micro W.
We can't have every win be big, and we just had Panda go from being the only character that ever did nothing to doing something.
Oh, he definitely walked away with like a Gigantor sized W. That was like a Tengen Toppo Gurren Lagann sized W.
So you can't give another character who's going to be on the screen consistently for the rest of the series a gigantic W like that when we know that their time can come eventually. Especially considering, Fushiguro's kind of kicking ass in his next scene, which we'll talk about later.
Oh, baby. But
and he needed that. Like, I need another job, Oh
yeah.
Like he needed that. He needed that. Like everyone in my country needs a pay raise.
So these 3 episodes literally were the 3 things I was like, these are the 3 things I need from Jujutsu Kaisen. And I said this about, 6 episodes ago. I was like, I need Panda to do something. I need Nobara to be in another fight. And I need Fushiguro to be in a fight where he doesn't be a goddamn jobber. And they gave us all 3 of those things.
It was brilliant. And then, like, right after that, we get the Maki and Mai fight. Or as I like to call it, Maki Gear Rising Revengeance. It's so fucking cool. They play super hard with 3D space because the way that this fight's laid out, it is a gunner versus a close range melee specialist.
With a sword.
With a sword, yes.
With a sword. So it's a gunner versus a swordsman. It's the legendary battle. They brought a sword to a gunfight. Let's see what happens.
And so you get all of these really cool 3D shots. They're playing with the composition super hard in that they have all of these trees around. You see Maki jumping from tree to tree in tandem with a lot of the camera movement. Anytime the camera's moving, you're seeing swaths of trees going all around. The camera is moving through trees. It is absolutely clustered. You can't really tell a lot of what's going on, and a lot of that is coming from Mai's perspective of her being surrounded, her trying to look everywhere, but being obstructed by trees. So it's a really neat little camera thing that they did in that 3D environment to kind of get that point across. And then from there, you see Mai, who is just shooting bullet after bullet after bullet at Maki. There's a point where Maki just cuts the bullets in two with a sword just to prove that she's fucking Raiden. Mai empties her clip, puts in a new clip, continues to fire, but at this point, Maki has quickly made up the distance and has been counting the bullets that Mai has been firing, and she's like, I'm not going to let you reload. And then this is when we learn of Mai's #1 ability!
It really is like a geek boy. My #1 ability!
It's so stupid. So essentially her ability is she can take her cursed energy and make it into a permanent piece of matter. She gets super duper Full Metal Alchemist curse alchemy. And so what she does is she takes all of her cursed energy to the point where her nose is bleeding and she's probably like internally bleeding and dying. And it causes her to have a 7th bullet in her 6-shot revolver because she just wills another bullet into the chamber. We are then given the explanation. The reason she uses a revolver is because it's very easy to telegraph how many shots there are in it. So she uses that to her advantage and uses the fact that she can make one extra bullet her trump card. So she fires this extra bullet, and we get the shot where the bullet is directly in Maki's forehead. This bullet, the tip is touching Maki's temple. For all intents and purposes, Maki should go down here. We cut to a shot of Maki, who has grabbed the bullet in her hand. Words cannot describe the amount of bullshit that I was screaming in my mind from this, but I didn't care because it was cool as fuck.
The shots in the moments leading up to her catching that bullet were amazing. There was one shot that I lost my mind at where it was like a POV shot of like right before the bullet left the chamber of the gun. Yes. Where we actually we went from like with my face like trucking out through the barrel of the gun, inside the gun, moving out of the gun, seeing this bullet like, you know, being formed in real time, and then having it being shot out of the gun straight towards Maki. That was all one shot.
And then the camera from there actually follows the bullet into Maki's face. It is such a beautiful sequence. Like, oh my god. It's so nice looking. And then, of course, she catches the bullet. And her only shit that she says after that is, wow, I shouldn't have touched that with my bare hands, huh? That shit hurts. And then Maki and Mai have a heart-to-heart where you basically learn their origin, where they are from the same clan. And Maki was born unable to have like cursed energy and could not see spirits. Mai could see spirits and has cursed energy. And so Maki is like, wow, this shit's stupid. And she doesn't like the fact that they are, they're both women. So according to the rules of their clan, they have to live just normal lives and they aren't allowed to do anything. Maki comes up to the head of the clan, is like, that's bullshit. And from there is like, I'm going to go become a Jujutsu sorcerer. Fuck all y'all. And then the head of the clan's like, oh, you want to be a Jujutsu sorcerer? That's cool. Okay, we're going to make your life hard as possible. We're going to make it so you can't promote unless you really, really, really impress us. Also, we're going to make your sister a Jujutsu sorcerer as well. And then Maki's like, she's not involved, you motherfucker. Don't you do that shit. He's like, try and stop us. Maki leaves. And then Mai reveals to us, the audience, that she didn't want to be a sorcerer. She was forced into that life because her family coerced her into doing it because Maki left the family to become a sorcerer. If Maki had not done that, Mai would be living a normal life right now, which is the life that she wants. She tells this to Maki, and then Maki at this point can only just say, I'm sorry, but I have to live my life. However, I am sorry that I have caused you this trouble. And Mai is left there in the forest, effectively retires, and then Maki goes on her way to complete the rest of the exam.
Yeah, pretty much. If you guys want to go to episode 18.
Yeah. This is episode 18. This is where we get Fushiguro gets a little bit of stuff, and Curse Speech Boy gets a little bit of stuff.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about all of this. It's pretty much standard shonen affair right now.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's a bunch of characters being fleshed out. I like them. We're cool.
I think it's not until like near the end of this episode where we are finally like, okay, well this is some shonen shit, but like, you know, you've seen My Hero Academia. This is the episode where the League of Villains shows up.
So I guess to describe it this way, either that or do you wanna give the spiel first, Lana?
Oh, we got it right here. Jujutsu Kaisen episode 18. That's it. Sage. So it seems that the arc is over. The arc's over, guys. Going on to something else.
Oh my god.
Japanese air date, February 13th, right before Valentine's Day, to April 2nd, right after April Fool's Day.
Ooh, and we were talking
We got
about
no jokes here.
There are no jokes. There's only Sag. But
there's some fun because we open up with a fight with Fushiguro, our favorite happy, always laughing character.
Hang on,
Megumi Fushiguro.
Can I talk about one other thing first?
Sure,
because she's my favorite. So you open with Miwa, who is the blue-haired Kenshin girl, and she's just singing to herself, I wish I had my sword. I'm sorry, I don't have my sword. I'm so sad. I want my sword. And then she gets a phone call from Mecha, and she's like, oh, hey Mecha, what's up? On the other side of the line, you just hear, go to sleep. And it turns out Toge had stolen Mecha's phone and has been calling people to use his cursed speech ability, which he's finally getting to use a lot now, to just tell people to fuck off. And I think it's the funniest fucking thing on the planet. I just wanted to get that aside because I think Toge is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. I love him so much. I only wish we could hear his internal thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. But what can you do? So let's see. So we have Fushiguro fighting who I called him Archer. I don't remember this guy's name. But whoever he is, he's a shit eater. He's the kind of character that he's always got his eyes closed until he opens his eyes and you realize, oh, well now I understand your cursed ability there. You're just dope. He's basically fucking he's Carmine from Unrelated Birth. He just has dominion over blood.
His name is Noritoshi Kamo, by the way, so we'll use Kamo for the future.
Kamo, yeah, because he talks about the fact that he's like, oh, I've got to represent the Kamo clan, but I guess he's also part of like the Zenin, which is like the same thing as Fushiguro.
And yeah, he touches upon that slightly.
Yeah,
where Fushiguro.
So it's like having a last name, but then being member of a clan.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's kind of similar where I'm pretty sure that the way that it works is there are mainline families and then branches of those families.
Yeah, it's like the Duodecim in Blaze Blue.
Yeah, or Naruto with the Hyugas.
Hyuga, yeah.
Yeah, but without but with the Hyugas, they still have the same last name.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So that's like both of them. It's not only like there's branch clans, there's branch families.
Yes. So at this point, you get this really fucking dope fight where I know Lano's really surprised when Fushiguro pulls out this fucking pair of tonfas, and we're like, oh, finally, we're gonna get to see him use these tonfas. He blocks literally one hit from Kamo, and the tonfas shatter. And I'm just like, use the tonfas, yay!
Use the tonfas.
And then from there, Fushiguro learns about Kamo's blood abilities, and he's like, oh, you use blood? And he's like, yeah, I use blood, chief. And at that point, they're just scrapping. It's some fucking cool choreo. It's a lot of Kamo, like, shooting arrows and shit, and, like, kind of just, like, zoning, essentially, against Fushiguro. Fushiguro works his way into a point, and then Kamo's like, fuck it, I don't want to zone anymore. He shoots his last arrow, and then moves in directly against Fushiguro, and then they start scrapping close range with some really, really nice fight choreo. But then, in the middle of this fight, they cut to Kamo talking with the shitty old man that tried to get Itadori murdered. And you learn of a plot where Kamo has been given control of a semi-first grade demon. And the plan is Itadori is going to be injured in his fight with Todo. Once he's injured, Kamo is going to summon the demon under his control with a flute. And then that demon is going to kill Itadori. I think this plan sucks. But that's the plan that they had. So, we move along. Fushiguro is doing Fushiguro things. And then Kamo at this point starts talking about Fushiguro, his place in his family. And we're getting this very diametrically opposed view. Kamo wants to do anything he can to make sure that he is taking care of his family, that he is in charge, taking care of his mother, and that he gets everything. His family to him is everything. Fushiguro, on the other hand, has kind of represented a side of Kamo that he potentially wishes he could strive to be. Fushiguro has abandoned all of his familial ties and now lives solely for what he himself believes in. Whether what he believes in is correct or not, he stands for what he feels and thinks is right. From there, Fushiguro unveils his secret weapon. He summons a frog on the other side of the room to distract Kamo, turns the frog off, and then summons this gigantic pink elephant that spews out this huge gush of water that just sends Kamo out of the building. This water, by the way, is like this really nice looking, like ink shaded, like partially CGI, partially hand drawn, like wave. And it looks fucking gorgeous. It looks very akin to the water that you saw in like Demon Slayer, except a lot more like dirty in terms of like the strokes. And it looks gorgeous. But they end up going to the courtyard of the school. And they're like, okay, it's time to fucking throw down. And they are about to swing at each other. All of a sudden, cut to Toge real quick. He's just made the phone call to Miwa and put her to sleep. He's like, okay, I'm doing my shit. Cod roe, white rice, vinegar. Let's go. And then he looks over and you see the head of that demon that Kamo is supposed to have summoned. And you're like, oh, that's weird. The head's just kind of poking out. And then the head just sort of falls to the floor. Decapitated. Like, huh. That's weird. And then you see one of the special grade demons from one of the previous episodes with the tree trunk eyes that just sort of casually walks out. And then Toge's like, tuna! That's fish for oh shit.
Yeah, really. That guy has no idea what he can do here.
For real. And so Toge starts running and he meets up with Fushiguro and Kamo while they're about to fucking throw down with each other. Looks towards them and says the words, run away! They start running. There's this tree trunk that looks like those fucking Tower of Heartless from Kingdom Hearts 3 that just bash their way into the ground. And then you see the tree trunk lady show up. And this is where Fushiguro basically learns, oh, hey, that's one of the special grade demons that Gojo Sensei ran into. Fuck. So they're not in a good place, all things considered. And then they start scrapping with the special grade demon as best as they can. But as this happens, there's this little mechanic that we neglected to mention earlier. So we're going to go to the teacher's office. They have these talismans set up on the wall where if you kill any of the demons that you're supposed to be killing in the field during the exam, they burn up in either red or blue to signify which team killed what demon. The tree trunk slams down into the courtyard. You cut to the teacher's lounge. All of the talismans burn up in red all at once. And then Gojo's like, well, I'd like to assume that my students were kick-ass and they killed every single demon all at once. Except the talismans also burn red if a third party kills the demons. We need to go check out what's up. And so he chides the old man, tells him he's a bitch. And then Gojo, the old man, and the teacher from Kyoto make their way down to the exam grounds. And then you meet the lumberjack.
Oh boy.
I love the lumberjack.
Lumberjack's pretty great.
Who else loves the lumberjack?
I love the lumberjack, but I have to admit they really did throw me a curveball with the principal of the other school.
They really did. The principal of the Kyoto school. Oh my god. So the lumberjack is like setting some shit up. He's hitting nails with an axe and you don't really know exactly why. I'm pretty sure he might be helping with like the tree trunk shit, but his purpose isn't entirely clear. However, a domain starts forming around the exam grounds. And
it's a veil.
Is a veil, yeah. A veil starts forming around the exam grounds. And it's like, oh, hey, it's changing the color palette to the way it looks in the opening, and it looks sick. So the veil goes completely around it. Gojo and the gang show up. And this is the part where I'm like, Gojo touches it. It zaps him. And I say to myself in the call, oh, what is it, an anti-Gojo field? And then the other two teachers put their hands in, and they're able to pass through just fine. And I remember explicitly saying, are you fucking kidding me? Turns out they made an anti-Gojo field.
Which, like, they had to, because this man is the strongest man in the show right now. As far as we know, this man is stronger than Sukuna with 20 fingers.
I do love me an anti-Gojo fan.
It's
like
so funny.
Gotta get a barrier that only stops Satoru Gojo.
Only stops Gojo Satoru. That's it.
Yeah, like it's a curse that is not able to stop anyone except Satoru Gojo. And then Gojo's like, well, I'm going to have to find a way to get past this. You two have fun. So the old man and the other teacher walk in. And the old man, the Kyoto principal, runs into Lumberjack's on. And so Lumberjack's like, oh, old man, you're going to fall down and break your bones and skin. You're just an old man. You got hollow bones and shit. You ain't shit. And then the old man's like, oh, on God. And so at this point, all three of us, we hate this guy. There's nothing redeeming about him. He's the worst, right? What do you do when someone's completely hateable? They're the worst and like they're just not redeemable in the slightest. Well, you know what you do? You give them a guitar. And so the old man, it cuts to a case falling to the ground. He has a goddamn like Les Paul just like strapped to him and he's strumming it. And I'm over here like, fucking what? And I'm legitimately I'm having a stroke this episode.
Yeah, when did this happen? Like all of a sudden this guy who we're supposed to hate, we're like 100% supposed to hate this guy, is just like bawling.
It's just used to space.
It's like he is because he's the principal of the school.
Yes, he is the principal of the Kyoto school.
Yeah, because he is still like a principal. Like he's got to have some kind of like curse.
Yeah, but I expected something like a staff or some scales or like maybe some weird like old school talisman shit. Not
but this is Jujutsu Kaisen.
Ball.
And like this show has played with our expectations before.
It has.
So, like,
I still wasn't expecting the old man to have a Les Paul. It's incredible.
It happens, you know.
Sometimes Mitch McConnell is ballin'. Occasionally, I guess. Sometimes Mitch McConnell is part of the Beatles.
Anyway, that's where the episode ends.
It's not where the
So-
episode ends.
Wait, is it not?
They remember they also talk with the other demon.
Oh right, yeah. They do talk with the demon a little bit.
And like what ends up happening is with the tree trunk demon, you have Fushiguro, Kamo, and Toge, and they're trying to fend her off as best as they can. And this is when that demon is talking to them. And she's speaking like backwards Japanese. You can't really understand her. But the moment you hear her speak, all of a sudden your brain, even though you can't understand it, you can process it. And you understand what she's saying despite the fact that you can't actually understand it. And at this point, she's basically saying humanity is a blight. Humanity has caused nothing but pain for the planet. My goal is to eliminate all of the filth on this world so that the world can begin healing. And then from there, you basically learn that she's juiced up poison ivy. Like, and I'm still really excited to see what she does because we saw a little bit of the episode preview and like her arm is like tied up and shit. And I see in the episode preview, her arm is free. And she's doing like some weird blood shit. So I'm wondering if Kamo's about to get jobbed super hard with his fucking bloody Destructo discs. He's just blood Krillin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's essentially, I think, right from around there where the episode ends.
I believe that's where it ends, yeah. But that is the end of Jujutsu Kaisen this week.
I want to say that these 3 episodes have displayed I won't say these were my favorite episodes.
They were just shonen.
Yeah, they were just shonen.
Normal shonen. It was fine. Simple. I was fine with it.
I had a good
It's
time.
funny. It's funny that we just watched like one episode that was beginning of an arc. After one episode that was the end of an arc, and now we're in another week where we're watching 2 episodes that are the part of an arc, and now 1 episode that's the beginning of an arc. One of these days we'll just watch an arc. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if we keep going at the way we are, we're gonna hit the 24 episodes and then just finish the last 3 episodes.
That's an
Yeah.
arc.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Let me check to see.
Unless the
Okay,
last
so-
arc's like 4 episodes.
The next episode is called Black Flash, so it's not like we're watching it in arcs via episode at this
By
point. We're
parts,
just
yeah.
watching episodes as they're coming and being named as they exist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I still see this personally as all one arc, if you ask me. This is just the tuning exams.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, like, I want to say this show has really demonstrated, or at least these 3 episodes have really demonstrated, Mappa's ability to do very bombastic, dynamic 3D animation consistently, and just keep it really stylized while also like not looking like they're breaking the bank. You can tell they're taking a lot of shortcuts in the show with a lot of these shots that they're doing, but the shortcuts when you see them are not like bothersome. They're doing everything in such smart, stylish ways, and it makes for a show that is such a joy to watch. If only it wasn't killing the animators.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Studio Mappa has like improved some of their standards, but that's something I want to do a little bit more research on soon. Because I know that during the time Jujutsu Kaisen was like being a thing, a lot of animators were definitely getting thrown under the bus a bit. So here's hoping.
Yeah. And it's weird to put in perspective the fact that not counting the movie, we're gonna finish Jujutsu Kaisen in 2 weeks.
It's an ongoing show. There's another season coming.
Well, yeah, like this season of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's these next 6 episodes, and then the movie, and then whenever we get more Jujutsu Kaisen.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we do something else.
Yeah, so we'll have some shit to do. We'll have some shit to do. I I have ideas. Kai has ideas. Lana has ideas. We're in this huge melting pot of weeaboo fluids, and
There's gonna be a lot of fun.
yeah, and there's going to be one idea that comes rising out of this pot of fluids. So we'll see what happens. But I think with that, that's basically everything I really wanted to touch on. Kai, Lana.
I'm good.
I feel like this is
definitely-
a pretty. I feel like this is a pretty good episode. So if you wanna follow me on Technotenor 487 on Twitter, we're gonna have some new stuff coming up. I just finished recording a thing for fun while we were doing the book club stuff. So check it out.
Yeah.
And of course, you can follow me at RedMufflerMan on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And I also recommend checking out our sister channel, Geek Culture Explained, as well as Comics Explained, if you want to get some more content much like this. And then Kai, if you would.
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at CableArts. You can find me pretty much everywhere else with that username. But yeah.
And with that, last thing I will say is if you want to help support the show, please feel free to follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like, leave a comment if you so wish. It's always really helpful to have with those metrics. I know you hear it from everyone, but this legitimately does help. So
Yeah, a reminder of our previous question. Which kind of underwear do you think Lloyd Forger from Spy Family wears? Is it boxers, briefs, or what was the third option? Just like a Speedo?
yeah, like a Speedo, boxers, or briefs. And
Yeah, out of those three, which do you think it is?
and this is a question that will shape the country. But
This is important.
this is very important. And then also, if you want to help support the show financially, we also have a Patreon if you want to hit us up there as well. I actually have some stuff in the works soon that I'm hoping we get to see soon. I feel like I tease that every single episode. But I know I have one little project that I'm going to be releasing on my own personal channel probably tomorrow. Hopefully. Well, tomorrow in terms of the time of this recording. It will already be out by the time this podcast is out. But that's just details. But anywho, I will be heading out for the night, as will Kai and Lana. So take it easy, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a good one. See ya.